Chapter 281. 3 soldiers had their throats pierced and fell to the ground with blood gushing out of their mouths. They trembled for a few seconds before losing their lives and lying there motionless. "Damned dear demons!" Su Ying gritted his teeth and said, "Men, bring me my bow." 2 personal guards immediately carried a huge bow made of pure iron over. The old general Su Ying suddenly pulled the bowstring and placed a specially made arrow about a meter long on the bow. In the blink of an eye, he shot it out. In the distant forest, a deer demon fell to the ground. The arrow pierced through her heart and nailed her to the rock behind her. "Good archery, old general." Lin Muyu couldn't help but cheer. Even Wei Chou couldn't help but feel his blood boil. "Old general's archery is godly, truly admirable." Su Ying smiled faintly. "You flatter me, Major General." Su Ying hasn't had any great achievements in this life. "The only thing I've learned is my arm strength. With this iron bow, I've fulfilled my wish to defend the Empire's borders." Wei Chou also took out his demon-devouring bow and shot a few arrows consecutively, killing the few Nagas that were climbing at the edge of the city. He only shot at their eyes and necks where there were no scales. His archery skills were also extraordinary. Su Ying's eyes went wide as he looked at Wei Chou in a new light. "Huh? Who would have thought there would be such an archery expert in the Imperial Guard? This old man is truly in awe." Lin Muyu's gaze was fixed on the densely packed demon army below the city. "Are they going to keep attacking?" "Yes." Tang Jin said, "They use the snake men as shields, but the true killing force is the deer demons. Those repulsive deer demons have extremely accurate archery skills. Half of our soldiers who died in battle were killed by their arrows. Don't we have another way?" "Yes, let's go out and fight." Tang Jin let out a bitter laugh, pointed to the distance and said, "Young general, look at that valley." When General Yuan Xie was in command, he ordered the army to leave the city to fight. It was in that valley that they were besieged by more than 150,000 demon clan soldiers. Unfortunately, not a single one of our 70,000 soldiers survived. They were all buried outside the pass. Outside the city, the Naga army was still attacking fiercely. Many of the Nagas used iron hooks on their hands and used the hooks to dig into the dilapidated outer walls of the demon-subduing pass. Step by step, they climbed up the walls until it looked like there were countless insects crawling on them. They were densely packed as they fiercely attacked the city. Wei Chou felt his scalp go numb. He said in a low voice, "Commander, if this goes on, I'm afraid the demon-subduing mountain pass won't last more than a few days." Lin Muyu nodded and said with a heart full of worries, "Let's go back to the main camp. Send more people to guard the city. We must not lose it." "Yes, young general." Returning to the main tent, everyone sat by the sand table with frowns on their faces. Lin Muyu was also silent, fiddling with the exquisite gold ornament on the hilt of the dragon spirit sword. Tang Jin cupped his fists and said, "Young general, being so passive will only cause more and more casualties and lower morale. Does the young general have a countermeasure?" "Not at the moment." Lin Muyu shook her head and her gaze fell on Su Ying. "Old General Su has dealt with the demon clan before. You should know how weak they are, right?" Su Ying said in a low voice, "Last time, when the demon clan's army of 300,000 invaded the Central Plains, it was Divine Marquis Zheng Yifan who used a stratagem to lure the demon clan army into open terrain. Then he used the Empire's 200,000 heavy cavalry to cut the demon clan army into pieces. But we don't have that many heavy cavalry right now, so this method won't work." Wei Chou looked at Lin Muyu and asked, "Old General Su has already said it. Commander, what are you thinking about?" Lin Muyu frowned and said, "I'm thinking that the demon clan's losses aren't small either. What do they want from us by risking their lives like this? If they want to conquer Lanyan City, their military strength isn't enough." A Tian Chong captaincy gnashed his teeth. "These demons aren't humans to begin with. Who cares what they want? As soldiers of the Empire, the only thing we need to do is kill them all." Lin Muyu smiled. "That's true. But thanks to Yuan Xie, we don't have the strength to kill the hundreds of thousands of demon clan soldiers in front of us." "Then what does the young general think?" Su Ying asked. Lin Muyu lightly pressed the table and stood up. Tomorrow we'll attack with fire. Create a line of fire under the city walls and force the half-fox people out. I want to talk to their leader directly. What? The Tianchong army captaincy was dumbfounded. Young general, you want to talk to the demon clan? Aren't you afraid that they'll charge you with treason? Lin Muyu smiled. Let them be. I can't do anything about it. That night, 10,000 soldiers entered the forest behind the pass to cut down dead trees and collect black beech oil. The black beech oil was produced from the black beech tree and would ignite upon contact with fire. It was a natural fire material. Although there wasn't much, it was enough to start a fire. The cold night wind blew over demon-subduing pass. It was especially cold. A bright moon hung high in the sky. The Naga army finally retreated like a receding tide, but they were replaced by a group of lizardmen. There were about 10,000 of them, and their brown eyes glowed with a golden light under the moonlight. Their tongues flickered as they held a shield in one hand and a shovel in the other. They quickly arrived at the bottom of the city wall and started digging with their shovels. Damn it! Su Ying stroked his white beard and coldly laughed. This group of lizardmen, are they trying to steal our people? Lin Muyu used the moonlight to clearly see the appearance of the lizardmen. That lizard head was extremely frightening, very frightening. But how could a head like that have any intelligence? She said, the lizardmen don't have this kind of intelligence. It must be the half-fox man commanding this battle. Young general, what should we do? Su Ying asked. How deep is the foundation of demon-subduing pass? About 20 meters. That's good. Let them dig. Tomorrow, we'll fill it up with rolling stones. Yes. The night was cold. Lin Muyu wrapped her cloak tightly around herself and gazed into the distance. The western border of the empire had built a great wall. It passed through the steep mountain ridges like a long dragon. This was probably the biggest reason why the demon clan could not advance east. Demon-subduing pass was located on the flattest part of this great wall, blocking the demon clan's invasion. You guys go back. I'll continue patrolling. Lin Muyu said. Yes, young general. Su Ying, Tangjin, Wei Chou, and the others all returned to camp. Lin Muyu carried the dragon spirit sword and walked along the pass. After walking for a few li, she arrived at the top of the mountain ridge. Looking to the west, she saw a clear light. The endless forest was like an ocean breeding this group of demon clan. In fact, from Lin Muyu's point of view, this group of demon clan was more like half-beastmen. They were neither human nor beast, which was quite pitiful. But what did this group of demon clan want to do? Looking down at the distance between the wall and the ground, which was about 30 meters, Lin Muyu muttered to herself. She took a deep breath and looked at the surrounding guards. The guards also looked at her. Young general, you want to go west? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded. Stand guard here and wait for my return. Don't act rashly. Yes. Leaping into the darkness, a faint golden light blossomed in the air. The gourd vines quickly wrapped around the city, reducing the impact that Lin Muyu received. However, jumping from a height of 30 meters was still a little scary. Her whole body rolled into the wild grass with a pah sound, and her knees hurt. She stood up with a whimper, sheathed the dragon spirit sword, and strode into the forest, disappearing from the sight of the group of guards in the blink of an eye. Not long after, the main camp of the demon clan was in front of her. However, there were very few lights in the camp. This was because the snake people, lizardmen, and bear men were all afraid of fire. Only the half-fox and deer demons did not have a natural fear of fire. Lin Muyu walked carefully, avoiding the camp of a group of snake people. The fierce attack during the day had also resulted in many casualties. At this moment, they were receiving treatment. The treatment method was some medicinal herbs and ancient witchcraft. Lin Muyu really did not understand it. The camps of the demon clan were all over the forest, just like their way of life. Lin Muyu walked for nearly 5 kilometers, and finally, there was a dim light coming from the forest in front of her. When she got closer, she realized that there were actually tents here. Tents made of gray cloth were scattered all over the forest. Rustling sounds came from not far away, and a black shadow was slowly moving in the forest. Lin Muyu could not help but nervously hold on to her long sword, feeling her way along the way. Just as he was about to get close, Lin Muyu suddenly leaped forward, and with a twist of her martial spirit, numerous gourd vines rose from the ground, and in the blink of an eye, they wrapped around the black figure. Lin Muyu pounced forward and covered the other party's mouth. She drew her sword, and the blade of the sword, which was shrouded in flames, was placed on the other party's neck. She whispered, "Don't scream, or else I'll kill you." However, under the light of the dragon spirit sword, Lin Muyu saw that the person in front of her was a young girl. She looked a little coquettish, with a pair of fox ears on her head and a fluffy tail swaying behind her. She looked at Lin Muyu in horror and struggled with all her might, but she could not break free from the tough gourd vines. Lin Muyu was startled. She had never thought that the half-fox people would have women. However, thinking about it, how could they reproduce without women? She couldn't help but laugh at herself. "If you don't say anything, I'll let go of you. Otherwise, I'll kill you," he said coldly. "If you agree, then your head is up." The half-fox girl quickly nodded her head, and Lin Muyu let go of her and asked, "Who are you?" The half-fox girl's eyes widened, and she said in an indistinct voice, I'm the Saintess Maid, Saintess? The endless forest fire god sex Saintess. Lin Muyu was at a loss, and said, "Tell me, the demon race has been dormant for several decades. Why did they suddenly attack the human empire?" A trace of panic flashed through the girl's eyes, and she shook her head. "I can't say, or else I'll be betraying the Saintess." "Are you going to say it or not?" Lin Muyu's sword was pressed against her snow-white neck. The girl closed her eyes and tears flowed down. Her tail swayed back and forth, and her ears trembled. She cried and said, "Kill me, it's a pity that Hong Luo can no longer serve the Saintess, truly unyielding." Lin Muyu sighed. Chapter 282. Then why did you come out so late at night? Lin Muyu changed the topic and asked another question. The girl named Hong Luo had tears flowing down her face. She blinked her eyes at Lin Muyu and actually asked, "Who are you? Why should I tell you?" Lin Muyu smiled brightly. "Oh, I am hunting in the mountains." Hong Luo's eyes were red. "You're lying. The insignia on your collar is the insignia of a general of the Qin Empire. Moreover, there are so many stars. You must be a high-ranking official. Or you. I am the one interrogating you, not you interrogating me." Lin Muyu's eyes turned cold as she said, "Speak, why did you leave the camp and come to the wilderness?" Hong Luo didn't say anything. Tears flowed down her face, but her hands moved behind her back as if she was hiding something. Lin Muyu lightly circulated her energy and the gourd vine flipped over. The thing that Hong Luo was trying to hide in her sleeve fell onto the grass with a plop. Lin Muyu picked it up and saw that it was 2 remnant scrolls. On the top of the scrolls were the words, "Cosmic Seal." She couldn't understand the rest of the words. Lin Muyu was stunned. "What is this?" Hong Luo began to cry, "Give it back to me, give it back to me." Her voice was too loud. The voice of the Yao came from the distance. "Who is it?" "There is someone in the forest. Let's go take a look." With a pa sound, Lin Muyu knocked Hong Luo out with a clean palm strike and placed the cosmic seal into his cosmos sack. Then he picked up Hong Luo and activated the falling star steps, heading straight for the city pass. In less than 10 minutes, he arrived at the place he had come from. With a low shout, the gourd vine flew up and wrapped around the stone walls, bringing him quickly to the top of the city wall. The guards were startled. With the light of the torches, they saw that Lin Muyu had returned with a young fox girl. They couldn't help but laugh. "Young general has returned from hunting?" Lin Muyu was extremely embarrassed and didn't know how to explain. She said, "Pay attention to the surroundings." "Yes, young general." When he carried Hong Luo into the central tent, Wei Chou, Su Ying, Tang Jin, Xiahou Sang, and the others had all arrived. Looking at Hong Luo lying on the bed, their gazes were all cold. Su Ying cupped his fists and said, "Young general, apart from the barracks concubines, no females are allowed in the imperial camp. This young fox girl is indeed beautiful, but young general shouldn't break the rules because of this." Lin Muyu explained somewhat awkwardly, Old General Su, you're thinking too much. Just now, I spied on the demon race's camp and captured this young girl from the fox race. It wasn't for anything else. I just wanted to obtain some useful information from her. If that's the case. Su Ying smiled and said, this old man has thought too much. Please forgive me, young general. It's fine. Wake her up and interrogate her. Yes. Wei Chou walked forward, his fingertips infused with battle qi. He lightly pressed on Hong Luo's forehead and she immediately woke up. She stared dumbfoundedly at the group of people around her, her face pale. You indiscriminately slaughter the innocent? Give me back the scrolls. Give me back the scrolls. What scrolls? Wei Chou was stunned. Lin Mu took out the 2 scrolls and smiled helplessly. I don't know what's written, let's see how we interrogate her. She won't say anything and won't tell me the true reason the demon race attacked Demon Subduing Pass. That's easy. Xiao Sang laughed as he walked forward, his eyes full of lewdness. I haven't played with the fox race yet. Hong Luo was at a loss of what to do. Her tears fell again as she looked at Lin Muyu crying, that human, since you kidnapped me and brought me here, you must protect me. You can't. Lin Muyu leaned on her long sword. But you won't tell me why the demon race attacked Demon Subduing Pass. As long as you tell me, I will guarantee your safety. How about it? 2 lines of tears hung on Hong Luo's beautiful face. She closed her eyes and reached out to untie her clothes. Half of her snow-white bosom was revealed. She closed her eyes and cried, Hong Luo will never betray the Saintess. You evil humans want to take away Hong Luo's chastity. Then hurry up. I'm not afraid of you. Wei Chou was stunned. Commander, what should we do? Xiao Sang smiled. What else can we do? We'll talk after we're done. Lin Muyu coughed. Xiao Sang, stop. Forget it. Since she would rather die than speak, then even if you took her body, it would be meaningless. Go down. Xiao Sang said unwillingly, but it can boost morale, my lord. What's the use of boosting morale? Remember, you are a soldier of the Empire. In my tent, no one is allowed to be promiscuous. Do you understand? Yes, my lord. Lin Muyu looked coldly at Hong Luo and said, I'll have to trouble you for a bit. I'll temporarily imprison you in the Demon Subduing Pass camp. I'll decide how to deal with you after this war is over. Hong Luo looked at her in a daze, wanting to say something but hesitating. The next day, as expected, the Naga army of nearly 40,000 madly attacked the city. The fierce battle lasted for an entire morning. Both sides suffered losses, but Lin Muyu also saw through it. As long as the Imperial army did not leave the city, the demon race could do nothing to them. In terms of siege ability, the demon race was simply too inferior. They didn't even have scaling ladders and only relied on their most primitive beast instincts to attack the city. They were immediately frightened out of their wits by Lin Muyu's fire attack. It would be a wonder if this kind of army could conquer Demon Subduing Pass. In the afternoon, a conch horn sounded in the distance. The Naga army once again retreated like the tide. About half an hour later, a man holding a white flag rode over from the distance. He was a man of the fox race. He also had fox ears and a tail, but his tail was divided into 2. He rode a fine horse and wore armor. He looked up at the city and shouted from afar, I am the envoy of the fox race. Someone who can speak. Lin Muyu turned and stood on the battlement, her cloak flying. She smiled and said, I am General Lin Muyu. Speak. The man of the fox race looked up at Lin Muyu and said, last night, you kidnapped one of our fox race women. Is this true? Yes, so what? The man of the fox race gritted his teeth. Lin Muyu, my army has decided to stop the war. Are you willing? You want to stop the war just because you want to. What do you take the Qin Empire for? Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows. Then what do you want? I want to meet the Saintess of the fox race to discuss the matter of stopping the war. But the man of the fox race replied without thinking, 2 hours later, a mile away from the city gate, the Saintess will naturally wait for you. It depends on whether you have the guts to come. Remember to bring Hong Luo with you. Yes, I will go. Lin Muyu turned around and jumped off the battlement. She patted the mud off her knees. Wei Chou said lightly, "Commander, isn't it too risky? You are going to negotiate with them alone?" "It doesn't matter. Just lead 100 people and follow me." "Yes." The gate of the city gate slowly opened. Lin Muyu carried the dragon spirit sword and rode out of the city. At the same time, she led a horse with the fox race girl Hong Luo tied to it. As soon as she got out of the city, she smelled an extremely fishy smell. After fighting for more than 10 days, the corpses under the city gate had begun to rot. It was the beginning of spring, and flies were flying everywhere. In a few days, these corpses would definitely rot. If they were not buried in time, it would lead to a plague. Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang, and the others led 100 elite Imperial Army cavalrymen and followed closely behind. The old General Su Ying was sitting on top of the city gate. Looking at the figures of the young people from afar, Su Ying couldn't help but stroke his beard and smiled. The younger generation is really formidable. They are more courageous than others. A mile outside the city, after Lin Muyu dismounted with Hong Luo, a group of people slowly came from afar. After stopping in the distance, a girl wearing a fiery red long-sleeved dress got off the horse and walked over alone. Her appearance was elegant, but she was also from the fox race. Behind her were 3 tails that were wrapped in flames. This made Lin Muyu think of Tang Xiaoxi. However, after Tang Xiaoxi transformed into a 9-tailed demon fox, she was much more beautiful and imposing than this saintess. "Saintess, it's all because of Hong Luo's carelessness." Hong Luo cried from afar. "Are you all right, Hong Luo?" The saintess frowned and asked. "I'm fine. It's just that the dossier was taken away by this person." "What? The dossier was taken away?" The saintess gritted her teeth. Lin Muyu let go of her hand, letting Hong Luo go back. She raised her hand to pull out the dragon spirit sword and propped it on the ground. She said, "You're the saintess of the Sky Blaze sect, right? Now can you tell me why your demon race attacked the human race's territory? Isn't it good that everything was peaceful before?" "Is it good?" The saintess's eyes were filled with killing intent. She said, "You sent an army to hunt down our 9-tailed fairy fox, and this is called peaceful? 9-tailed fairy fox?" Lin Muyu was startled. "It's the 9-tailed demon fox, isn't it? Even if we humans hunt down the 9-tailed demon fox, what does it have to do with you?" The saintess suddenly shook her sleeves. Flames lingered around her body, and the 3 tails behind her rapidly burst into flames. Her expression was even somewhat sinister. She sneered and said, "The 9-tailed fairy fox is the god that our Skyblaze sect believes in. Why do you think?" Lin Muyu opened her hand and said, "Don't be in a hurry to act. I'm not the one who hunts down the 9-tailed fairy fox. On the contrary, I'm the one who protects her. Moreover, Xiaoxi is my best friend. How could I kill her?" "Do you know the 9-tailed fairy fox?" "Nonsense. Her name is Tang Xiaoxi, one of the successors of the 7 Seas Tang sect. You attacked the demon-subduing pass without understanding anything. You were too reckless." The saintess actually revealed an ashamed expression. She said, "Milord, if you know the 9-tailed fairy fox, can you let me meet her?" "What do you mean?" Lin Muyu asked. "It's like this." The saintess explained, "The Skyblaze sect has waited for the 9-tailed fairy fox for nearly 10,000 years. Our only mission is to help the 9-tailed fairy fox ascend to the heavenly realm. If Milord knows the 9-tailed fairy fox, please invite her to see me. This little girl will offer you the 3 Fire God's seal fragments." "The Fire God's seal fragments?" Lin Muyu was stunned. "Yes, the one you took away was the 10th Star Universe seal. I still have 2 here, the 11th God seal and the 12th God seal." "Milord, do you know the Fire God seal?" Lin Muyu was flabbergasted. After a few seconds of silence, she said, "On the human continent, the Fire God seal is also known as the Fire Fox seal. It's the unique technique of the 7 Seas Tang sect." The saintess was speechless. However, everyone thought that the Fire Fox seal only had 9 heavens. They didn't know that there were 3 fragments, a total of 12 heavens. It was hard to imagine how strong Tang Xiaoxi would be if she learned the complete 12 heavens of the fire god seal. Thinking of this, Lin Muyu actually became a little excited. The nine-tailed fairy fox was not a demon, but a god. Tang Xiaoxi's transformation was not a demon, but an immortal transformation. Chapter 283. The Saintess smiled and looked deeply at Lin Muyu. She said, "Looking at your imperial rank, you are already the commander of an army. It is really fortunate for the queen to have a friend like you. I only hope that you can bring the queen to the forest of infinity. The entire demon race will be grateful to you." Lin Muyu was a little vigilant. She smiled and said, "Xiao, she is your queen? Ha, I am a simple person. I think you are eagerly looking forward to Xiao Shi going to the forest of infinity. You must need her to do something for the demon race, right?" The Saintess was slightly stunned, as if her thoughts had been seen through. At this moment, in the crowd behind the Saintess, a snake man general carrying a battle axe rushed over. His scaly face was full of anger. He shouted, %hashtag at hashtag yen hashtag at and hashtag 22 hashtag yen yen hashtag asterisk %%. She didn't understand a word, but it was obviously not good. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows. Her palm was already pressed on the hilt of her sword. She said coldly, "Do you want to attack me? If you are not afraid of death, then come and try." The Naga general let out a furious roar and brandished his axe, creating a gust of wind. "General Helion." The Saintess hurriedly turned around and glared at the Snake Man general. Her pretty face was full of anger. She said, "This human lord is a close friend of the queen. But do you want to destroy the future of the entire demon race?" "Money." The Snake Man general slowly put down his battle axe and stood behind the Saintess. However, with a hissing sound, he spat out his tongue at Lin Muyu. The corners of his mouth were full of a grin. It seemed that as long as Lin Muyu was a little careless, she would be swallowed by him. The Saintess turned around and smiled again. She said, "Lady Lin Muyu, our request is actually very simple. The nine-tailed fairy fox is a spiritual creature formed by the spiritual energy of the 9 heavens. As long as it cultivates to the godly state, it can ascend to the heaven realm. For hundreds of thousands of years, the demon race has been revered as a god by the nine-tailed fairy fox. But now, the demon race continues to decline, and even our rebirth pool has begun to dry up. If this continues, I'm afraid that in another few thousand years, the demon race will disappear from the mainland." Lin Muyu narrowed her eyes and smiled. "So, when the nine-tailed fox spirit appeared on the mainland, you saw hope. She must have something that the demon clan needs, right?" The Saintess was startled. "Yes." Lin Muyu frowned and turned to leave. "Then we have nothing to talk about. Pack up and prepare for battle." "Wait, lady." The Saintess hurriedly took a few steps forward and said, "Once the nine-tailed fairy fox appears, she will be the queen of our demon race. All we need is a drop of her blood." As long as the nine-tailed fairy fox's blood is a drop, the rebirth pool will be able to regain its divine power and allow our demon race to continue to thrive. Lin Muyu stopped and asked, "Then what can Xiao Shi get?" The Saintess smiled. In the back mountain of the demon race's main altar, there is a spring called the Fountain of Immortality. Although it doesn't have the effect of immortality, it has an even more magical effect. As long as you bathe in the Fountain of Immortality once, it can suppress the divine power in Her Highness' body and allow her to restore her original body. In the future, she will be able to change as she pleases. Could it be that, isn't that enough? Moreover, as long as Her Highness is willing to enter the Endless Forest once, you can take the 11th and 12th level of the Fire God's seal from this servant. Lin Muyu's heart moved. She narrowed her eyes at the three-tailed fox Saintess and said, "If you let Xiao Shi enter the Endless Forest, who knows if the Nagas, bear men, and lizard men behind you will ambush and harm her? Why should I believe you?" The Saintess bit her lip, her face full of helplessness. "You humans are always so suspicious. Then lady, please speak. As long as your request isn't too outrageous, this servant will naturally do my best to fulfill it." Lin Muyu raised her brows and said, "That's good. I will invite Xiaoxi to the Demon Suppression Pass. What you have to do is also very simple. I want you to hand over 30,000 Fox Clan troops and 20,000 Tree Demon troops. Let them put down their weapons and enter the Demon Suppression Pass to be guarded by my troops. Only then will Xiaoxi leave the city and enter the Endless Forest. After she has really shed her 9 tails, I will naturally let these 50,000 captives go." The Saintess looked at her in shock, her body trembling slightly. 30,000 Fox Clan troops, 20,000 Tree Demon troops. This is the most elite force of our demon clan. Lady, if you go back on your word, I'm afraid our entire demon clan will be exterminated by the humans. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and looked deeply at her. Saintess, please believe me. The weight of Xiaoxi in my heart will definitely surpass your measly 50,000 demon clan troops. I will accompany her into the Endless Forest. Is that enough? The Saintess thought for a moment and bit her lip. Lady, is this just a deal? The Xiaoxi you speak of is our queen. As long as she gives the order, we are willing to do anything. This is the loyalty of our demon clan. Do you understand this kind of loyalty? I understand. The corners of Lin Muyu's mouth rose. She smiled and said, "But there is no trust without reason in this world. If you can convince me with just a few words, it can only mean that I'm stupid. If I'm so stupid, won't I harm Xiaoxi?" The Saintess smiled. This servant understands. Then please immediately invite Her Highness to Demon Subduing Pass. Our hundreds of thousands of demon clan members will wait here for Her Highness' arrival. Lin Muyu nodded. But at this moment, a rider galloped out from the pass. It was Tang Jin. He held a war flag in his hand and his face was full of smiles. He said loudly, "Young General, Commander Feng Jixing has led 10,000 troops to Demon Subduing Pass with provisions, equipment, and medicine. Moreover, Her Highness Qin Yin and Princess Tang Xiaoxi have also come with them. They have already entered the pass." Good. Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Tang Xiaoxi had actually come with Qin Yin. This was even better. She turned to the Saintess and said, "Good, go and organize your troops. In a moment, I will open the gates. Have your 50,000 troops put down their weapons and enter the city as prisoners. Then I will take Xiaoxi out of the city and into the Endless Forest to fulfill your wish." The Saintess looked at Lin Muyu excitedly and said, Can you let this servant see Her Highness the Queen first? As long as I see her, I will have no doubts about you. I will certainly carry out the deal you suggested." Lin Muyu nodded. "All right then, follow me into the pass, but you can only go in alone. Get the other Fox Clan members to guard outside." The Saintess turned around and used an incomprehensible language to speak to the Naga and Fox Clan generals behind her. Immediately, the Naga general angrily shouted in the Naga language. A handsome Fox Clan general cupped his fists and said, "Saintess, you mustn't do this. How can we trust this human so easily? Humans are always cunning. Saintess, have you forgotten how Xing Yifan deceived the trust of the previous generation's Saintess and started a war that almost wiped out the demon clan's army?" The Saintess slowly nodded. "I know, but Her Highness the Queen is in their hands. I have no choice but to take the risk. Don't worry, I believe in this Lord Lin Muyu. Moreover, I have no other choice. For the future of the demon clan, I can only take this risk." The Fox Clan general held a scimitar and urged his horse forward. He said, "Saintess, this general will follow you." Lin Muyu raised her hand and said, "No. Only the Saintess can come with me alone." Impolite to the extreme. A murderous intent flashed across the Fox Clan general's face. The scimitar in his hand carried a sliver of Do Chi as it rapidly attacked. 3 saber lights appeared in front of Lin Muyu's chest. This saber technique was very cunning, vicious, and shocking. Lin Muyu's counterattack was even faster. Her long sword and scabbard made 2 clanging sounds in the air to block the other party's attack. Suddenly, her arm shook, and the blade was unsheathed. A revolving force gathered around the blade. Sword absorption technique. Swoosh. The Fox Clan general's scimitar was sucked downwards. Just as he was about to fall off his horse, Lin Muyu suddenly raised her hand and heavily slapped him, forcing him and his horse back several steps. The qi in his body was in a mess, and he would not be able to attack for a short period of time. The Fox clan general gritted his teeth. He had never imagined that there would be such an expert in the human army. He had already suffered a great loss after being caught off guard. If the other party had any killing intent, he would probably have lost at least one of his right arms. The Saintess's face was filled with blame. She said, "General Ling Hu, stand down." Saintess, he raised his scimitar and slowly retreated a few steps. Looking at Lin Muyu, he said, "If you humans harm the Saintess, we will definitely bathe Lanyan City in blood no matter the cost." Lin Muyu smiled faintly and did not say anything. She only waved her hand and respectfully said, "Saintess, follow me into the city." When Lin Muyu brought this beautiful Fox clan woman with 3 wagging tails into the demon-subduing pass, the soldiers of the Tianchong army and the Seven Seas City army were all dumbfounded. Naturally, there were many who could not help but draw their bows and aim straight at this beautiful Fox clan woman. After all, they had been fighting for so many days, and the two sides had already become mortal enemies. No one is allowed to attack. Put away your weapons. Lin Muyu raised her arm and loudly ordered, "She is only one person. She cannot harm you." Wei Chou stood guard at the side and looked at the Saintess warily. At the same time, he said, "Commander, Her Highness, the Princess, and General Feng are all waiting for you in the central tent." "Yes, we will go now. Are we bringing this Fox clan woman with us?" "Yes, otherwise there will be no point in going." "Yes." Wei Chou cupped his fists and did not doubt Lin Muyu's orders. This was also the result of Lin Muyu's strength and strategy in battle after battle to conquer this group of subordinates. In the central tent, Xiahou Sang galloped away with a group of imperial guards. He dismounted and stood guard on both sides. Lin Muyu reached out and helped the Fox clan Saintess dismount, then led her into the central tent. She suddenly lifted the curtain and saw Qin Yin, Feng Jixing, and Tang Xiaoxi standing there from afar. Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a thick leather robe to hide her 9 tails. After Lin Muyu entered the central tent, she immediately said, "Wei Chou, take some people and stand guard outside. Do not let anyone in." "Yes, Commander." Tang Xiaoxi was already in front of her. There was a refreshing smile in her golden eyes. "Mu, Xiao Yin and I have come to see you." "Oh, who is this woman?" Seeing the Saintess and Lin Muyu walking side by side, the beautiful princess was immediately filled with jealousy. "Mu, you flirtatious radish. You have only left Lanyan City for a few days and you have already hooked up with such a woman." "Sob sob, Xiao Yin, your life is so bitter." Qin Yin, she was actually speechless. At this moment, the Saintess walked forward and knelt on both knees. She piously said in a low voice, I am the 29th generation Fox clan Saintess, Ling Hu Yen. I pay my respects to your highness." Chapter 284. Ling Hu Yen, who are you? Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. She stood there with her mouth wide open, not knowing what to say. Ling Hu Yen raised her head, her face full of smiles. Perhaps it was due to her excitement, but the 3 tails behind her swayed gently. She said, "You are a 9-tailed fairy fox, and I am a 3-tailed fox. We are originally of the same bloodline. Your 9-tailed body is a gift from the heavens, and it is also a gift from the heavens to our Fox clan's king." Lin Muyu explained from the side, "Generally speaking, Xiao Shi, it is not a bad thing for you to transform into a 9-tailed fairy fox. You are fated to be the supreme ruler of the demon clan. I helped you make a deal with them. Xiao Shi, as long as you agree to give them a drop of blood, then you can become the ruler of the entire demon clan. Moreover, you can also obtain 3 incomplete cultivation scrolls of the Fire Fox Seal, which are the 10th, 11th, and 12th heavens, the Cosmic Star Seal, the Divine Punishment Seal, and the God-Slaying Seal." "What?" Tang Xiaoxi was even more shocked. "Isn't the Fire Fox Seal only 9 heavens? Then there are 3 heavens." "Heavens?" This is something that even grandfather doesn't know about. Qin Yin, on the other hand, had a worried look on her face as she stepped forward and held Lin Muyu's hand. She stood on tiptoe and whispered in his ear, "Big brother Ayu, those who are not of our clan are definitely not of the same mind. Could the Fox clan be lying to us? Xiaoxi's safety is the most important thing. Big brother Ayu, you mustn't let Xiaoxi take risks." Lin Muyu nodded and patted Qin Yin's shoulder. "Don't worry, Xiaoyin. I know what I'm doing." Tang Xiaoxi thought silently for a while and said, "The Cosmic Star Seal, the Divine Punishment Seal, and the God-Slaying Seal couldn't be lying to me to go to the Fox clan, right? Although I don't look like a human right now, I have a human heart." Lin Muyu held back her laughter and said, "I know these can't convince you. Then there's one more thing. After entering the Endless Forest, there's an immortal spring in the mountain behind the Demon Clan's headquarters. As long as Xiaoxi bathes in the spring, you can transform into your current form, allowing you to return to your human form, and from now on, you can freely return to your nine-tailed form. Are you willing?" For Tang Xiaoxi, this was the most important thing. After all, she had been a human for 20 years, and now she had suddenly turned into a nine-tailed demon fox. This change was too difficult for her to accept. Moreover, how could she continue to live a normal life in this form? In order to hide her 9 tails, she had to wear this thick robe for many days. She could no longer wear the beautiful clothes of the empire. "All right then." She nodded in agreement. Saintess Linghu Yen was overjoyed. She hurriedly knelt down again and said, "Many thanks for your highness' gift. The demon clan can rise again. This is great. We don't have to be bullied anymore." Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and said, "If Xiaoxi becomes your queen, you must also make an alliance with the humans. You can't suddenly launch a large-scale attack like this time." Linghu Yen smiled and said, "Of course. However, the demon clan is willing to coexist peacefully with the humans. I'm afraid that the humans are not willing to live in peace with the demon clan. Once the human army crosses the demon-subduing pass and invades the Endless Forest, the demon clan will fight to the death to protect their homeland. You can rest assured." Lin Muyu waved her hand and introduced, "This is Her Highness Qin Yin, the future queen of the empire. We can conclude this peace treaty now. From now on, the humans won't advance westward, and the demon clan won't be able to cross the demon-subduing pass. What do you think?" Linghu Yen said respectfully, "Yes, the demon clan won't lightly attack. Please rest assured, Your Highness." Qin Yin nodded and said, "The humans won't advance westward either." Linghu Yen straightened her body and looked at Tang Xiaoxi. She smiled and said, "This servant has a presumptuous request. Now, can Your Highness let this servant see the true appearance of the nine-tailed fox?" Tang Xiaoxi was stunned and looked at Lin Muyu. Linghu Yen wanted to verify her identity. Lin Muyu nodded and said, "Yes, let her see." Tang Xiaoxi raised her hand to untie the tie at her collar and handed the robe to Qin Yin. The next moment, the 9 flame tails behind her swayed slowly in the air. The fox ears on her head trembled lightly. She was very intelligent. Her golden eyes were smiling and she asked, "Linghu Yen, now that you've seen it, are you satisfied with my current appearance?" Linghu Yen was dumbfounded. She opened her small mouth and murmured, "So beautiful, such a beautiful 9-tailed fox. I don't want to always be like this," Tang Xiaoxi said sullenly. Linghu Yen chuckled. "Yes, it's understandable. After all, Your Highness has always lived as a human. But Your Highness can rest assured in the future. In our demon clan, no one will make fun of Your Highness. They will only revere you." "No." Tang Xiaoxi looked nervous and said, "I won't live in the demon clan. I want to live in the imperial capital." "Yes, that's fine. The demon clan awaits Your Highness's arrival at any time." "That's good." Lin Muyu said, "Now, Saintess, you can go back and let your 50,000 captives enter the city. Then I will naturally bring Xiaoxi to the headquarters of the demon forest. It's the Endless Forest. Call it whatever you want as long as you're happy." Linghu Yen looked helpless. Feng Jixing said, You want to let the demon clan captives into the demon-subduing pass?" Lin Muyu nodded and said, Xiaoxi and I can't rashly go to the endless forest, so we must hold a bargaining chip in our hands. 30,000 Fox Clan troops and 20,000 Tree Demon troops are the most elite troops of the Demon Clan. We will keep them as captives in the Demon Subduing Pass. Big Brother Feng, you must help me guard them well. If Xiaoxi and I don't return in 3 days, Big Brother Feng will slaughter these 50,000 demons. Okay. Feng Jixing smiled slightly. It just so happens that His Majesty has given me a decree to help you. If we can really quell the Demon Clan's chaos, it will be a great service. Ling Hu Yen felt a chill in her heart when she heard this. Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing looked like elegant young generals, but in their hearts they hid murderous intent. Tens of thousands of lives could be wiped out in a puff of smoke while they were chatting. Watching Saintess Ling Hu Yen leave the Demon Subduing Pass, Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing protected Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. In addition, Wei Chou, Su Ying, and the other generals stood guard at the side, waiting for the Demon Clan's captives. About half an hour later, as expected, a dense crowd of Fox Clan troops and Tree Demon troops had arrived. The Fox Clan troops were all male and very strong. Their women were probably only used for reproduction. The Tree Demons had all placed their bows and arrows at the foot of the city and entered the city one after another. There was a captive camp in the Demon Subduing Pass, a camp made of steel. After entering, one could not leave without a key. Moreover, it was enough to imprison 50,000 captives, so it was relatively safe. After more than an hour, all 50,000 captives had entered the cages, sitting there quietly. When Lin Muyu brought Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin to patrol, a group of Fox Clan members looked at Tang Xiaoxi's golden eyes, their faces full of worship. They all knelt on the ground and said in unison, Your Highness Shi. Qin Yin smiled slightly, the Empire has another highness. Tang Xiaoxi held back her laughter, Xiao Yin, don't make fun of me. Do you think I want to? I actually want to be a normal human. Who would have thought that there would be another me living in my body? Lin Muyu said, Fortune and misfortune go hand in hand, so it might not be a bad thing. Well, at least it's a good thing now. Xiaoxi, you alone managed to quell the chaos of the Demon Clan. This is a great merit. You don't know, but if it weren't for you, I'm afraid we would have had to sacrifice the lives of at least 100,000 soldiers in order to exterminate the entire Demon Clan. That was a great price to pay. Feng Jixing smiled at the side and said, Are you sure that we can exterminate the Demon Clan with just 100,000 soldiers? Lin Muyu smiled slightly, yes. Good boy, you're really arrogant, but I like it. Feng Jixing quickly walked over to Saintess Ling Hu Yan's side and said with a smile, Beauty Ling Hu, does your Fox Clan have many Fox Clan beauties? Ling Hu Yan was taken aback. I wonder why the general is asking about this. There's no deeper meaning. Feng Jixing smiled and said, Look, as a commander, I'm almost 30 years old, but I'm still alone. If the Holy Maiden doesn't mind, can you introduce me to 2 or 3 beauties from the fox race? Qin Yin giggled. My great General Feng, you still want 2 or 3? Lin Muyu also smiled. Big Brother Feng is really greedy. 2 of us is enough. Which 2? Feng Jixing said with a teasing smile. The 2 or 3 I want are all Fox Clan girls. You want 2? 2 highnesses. Who's the greedy one? Immediately, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi blushed and pretended not to understand anything. Ling Hu Yen held back her laughter and said, General Feng, if you want to marry a Fox Clan girl, then come with us. As long as you like her, I can help you decide. Feng Jixing was speechless and said with a smile, Then forget it. I'll stay at Suppressing Demon Pass to protect Her Highness Yin. Those Nagas outside the city are all fierce and want nothing more than to tear us Empire soldiers into pieces. I won't take the risk. Well, then let's set off, Your Highness. Your Highness. Ling Hu Yen looked at Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu mounted her horse, prepare to set off. At this moment, a group of generals suddenly came over. It was Tang Zhen and the other captaincy of Seven Seas City. Princess Shi. Tang Zhen cupped his fists and said, This subordinate has a request. Tang Xiaoxi blinked and said, Speak. Tang Zhen's expression was solemn and his eyes were filled with sorrow. 5 days ago, General Wuxia underestimated the enemy and advanced rashly. 60,000 of our Seven Seas city brothers went out to meet him and died tragically in the Guanxi Valley. I hope, Princess, she can make a decision for us and ask the demon race to withdraw their troops. We want to take shovels to Guanxi to bury our brothers' corpses and not let them be eaten by wolves and tigers. Tang Xiaoxi was startled and looked at Ling Hu Yen, saying, Ling Hu, order the troops to withdraw. Yes, Your Highness. Ling Hu Yen nodded respectfully. It seemed that what she said was true. As long as Tang Xiaoxi was willing to go to the demon race's main altar, she would be the queen and her orders would be obeyed. Tang Zhen was overjoyed. Thank you, Princess. Chapter 285. At dusk, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi followed Saintess Ling Hu Yen out of the demon-subduing pass, following the main road into the depths of the endless forest. There were corpses everywhere along the way. This was the road that the Seven Seas army had fought on a few days ago. The road was covered in messy hoof prints, and the corpses of imperial soldiers lay on both sides of the road. At this time, flies were flying everywhere, emitting a strong stench. Tang Xiaoxi frowned. These soldiers were all from the Seven Seas province, which also meant that they were soldiers of Tang Xiaoxi's family. Seeing them die in a foreign land was naturally not a good feeling. Lin Muyu could see that she couldn't bear to see it and urged her horse closer. She grasped her hand and said, if it wasn't for these soldiers sacrificing their lives, the demon-subduing pass would have been broken before I arrived. Their sacrifice was worth it. Tang Xiaoxi didn't say much, but she knew very well that this sacrifice was actually worthless. This was a meaningless war. Torches were lit on both sides of the road. The Fox tribe soldiers set up defenses along the sides of the road, seemingly guarding against attacks from the snake men and lizard men. The Fox tribe was a highly intelligent race and knew the importance of Tang Xiaoxi, the queen. However, the snake men and lizard men were no different from wild beasts. They wouldn't buy it. As expected, snake men soldiers appeared on both sides of the road not far away. They held battle axes and spears, glaring fiercely at Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu. Tang Xiaoxi was fine. Although she was wearing human clothing, the dancing 9 flame tails behind her were enough to prove that she was of the demon race. Lin Muyu, on the other hand, was a genuine human. The 3 golden stars on her collar shone with a frightening luster under the light of the flames. This was equivalent to telling the other races that she was a higher-ranking human general. Russell? Her palm moved lightly and grasped the hilt of her sword. Lin Muyu looked around with a cautious expression, the golden light within her body ready to summon the golden gourd to battle at any time. Ling Hu Yen saw clearly and said with a smile, "Don't worry, young general. Without my orders, these snake men won't attack you." Lin Muyu turned her head and looked into the distance. She saw 2 bearmen soldiers fighting over food in the grass, and the food was actually a human arm. The insignia on the arm was the garrison insignia of the Seven Seas city. These bearmen actually ate humans. Heavens! His whole body trembled slightly, and he said in a stern voice, "Ling Hu Yen, you people eat people?" Ling Hu Yen was slightly taken aback and faintly said, "The Fox clan will never eat humans, but the snake men, bear men, and lizard men have very low intelligence and are only very low-level warriors. This is a kind of innate instinct of theirs, and we ask the young general to forgive us. It's already very difficult for the Fox clan to command them. If we let them restrain this natural instinct, I'm afraid it will be very difficult for the entire demon clan to unite." Lin Muyu remained silent. Tang Xiaoxi couldn't help but say, "No. Absolutely not. We can't let them continue to eat people in the future. We must stop them. Yes, Your Highness. This servant will do her best to change everything." The holy maiden said respectfully, while looking at Lin Muyu's expression, and said, "Young general, what are you thinking about?" Lin Muyu's hand did not move away from the hilt of his sword. He suddenly turned his face, and his handsome face was covered in frost, and he said in a cold voice, "I have an urge to lead the human army and sweep through the endless forest and kill all the demon clan." Ling Huyen felt a chill from the bottom of her heart. She believed that the young man in front of her would do this, and as long as he was willing, he had the ability to do it. Young general, give the demon clan another chance. I will change everything in front of me, Ling Huyen said in a pleading tone. Without the blood of the nine-tailed fairy fox as a guide, the holy power of the rebirth pool will become weaker and weaker, and the power of the Fox clan will also continue to weaken. So we are unable to control the overall situation, and we also have no way to completely control the snake men, bear men, and lizard men. But as long as Her Highness she adds new divine power to the rebirth pool, our Fox clan will be able to become the true rulers of the demon clan. Young general, please believe me. Lin Muyu slowly nodded and said, You have all the time in the world to change. The demon clan's headquarters in the endless forest was not far away. It was about a 3-hour journey, and as they advanced, the surroundings became more prosperous. Ancient buildings appeared on both sides of the road, and there were more high-intelligence races like the Fox clan and the Deer men here. The Snake men, Lizard men, and the others were isolated outside the headquarters. Hiss hiss. A few Snake men aggressively raised their weapons, as if they wanted to attack Lin Muyu. But more than 10 Fox clan soldiers raised their scimitars and charged over. With a low roar, their scimitars were covered in flames, and they shouted at the Snake men in a language that Lin Muyu did not understand, quickly driving away the group of Snake men. It seemed that the combat strength of the Fox clan could not be underestimated, and those Snake men were not easy to deal with. If they could defeat them, they would have fought. The reason they were driven away was only because they were afraid. We've reached the sacred altar. Ling Huyen dismounted and said with a smile, Your Highness, come with me. Tang Xiaoxi also dismounted. The sacred altar was surrounded by flames, and it was very warm. She took off her robe, and her 9 flame tails gently swayed behind her, making her look especially beautiful. On both sides of the sacred altar, there were countless Fox clan members that were devoutly kneeling down. None of them dared to raise their heads, as if the 9-tailed demon fox in front of them was a god that could not be blasphemed. In the pool of rebirth, the lake was sparkling under the moonlight. Ling Huyen respectfully said, This is the pool of rebirth. Your Highness, as long as a drop of your blood falls into the pool of rebirth, we will be able to save our Fox clan's imminent defeat. Tang Xiaoxi had a feeling of joy from the bottom of her heart, as if she had returned to her hometown, which made her more convinced that what Ling Huyen said was true. This place indeed had an innate connection with her, and the pool of rebirth in front of her seemed to have lived in some reincarnation of another life. Tang Xiaoxi involuntarily stepped into the pool of rebirth. Her feet were surrounded by flames, and when she stepped on the water, she did not fall into it. Ripples appeared under her feet, which was magnificent and magnificent. Under the moonlight, Tang Xiaoxi took out the dagger at her waist and gently cut her finger. Suddenly, a few drops of blood fell into the pool. The blood splashed on the surface of the water and instantly turned into a raging flame, which surged towards the whole pool of rebirth. The divine power was dense, and the sky was full of thunder and lightning, as if it was confirming an ancient legend. The next moment, the whole pool of rebirth blossomed with golden light, which soared into the sky. Tang Xiaoxi just stood quietly on the water, bathing in the golden splendor of the sky. Her whole body was filled with a refreshing feeling, and it seemed that she was enjoying it very much. Even Ling Huyen knelt down, and her beautiful eyes were filled with excitement and joy. The pool of rebirth has recovered. Great, the pool of rebirth has recovered, great. After about 10 minutes, all the divine powers seeped into the pool. Tang Xiaoxi turned back to Lin Muyu and said with a smile, Well, let's go to the fountain of immortality. Ling Huyen, take us to the fountain of immortality. Yes, Your Highness. Ling Huyen looked respectful and took the two to the back of the mountain, which was not too far away. Not long after, a clear spring appeared in front of them, and it was covered with a faint mist. It was actually a hot spring? We're here. Ling Huyen said with a light smile. The fountain of immortality is a holy land, and also a forbidden area of the forest of infinity. Ordinary fox clan is not qualified to bathe here. Your Highness, please, this servant will go outside to guard you. Lin Muyu sat on a rock beside her and said, then I'll guard here. Ling Hu Yen burst into laughter. In this case, won't the general see your highness's body? Tang Xiaoxi's pretty face blushed and said, Ling Hu Yen, you go down. It's fine, it's not like he hasn't seen. Lin Muyu also blushed. Look at you guys as if I'm that kind of person. You're not that kind of person? Tang Xiaoxi tilted her head and said with a smile. I'm doing this to protect you. Someone continued to quibble. Tang Xiaoxi turned her back and took off her clothes one by one. The mist lingered around her, and it was hard to see her clearly. Not long after, the beautiful girl's naked body appeared in the moonlight under the lingering mist. Her snow-white and smooth skin was very enchanting, and the 9 flame tails gently swayed in the air, making the already stunning Tang Xiaoxi even more alluring. Stepping on the pebbles and entering the spring, a silky smooth feeling wrapped around her body, and Tang Xiaoxi couldn't help but moan with pleasure. Lin Muyu lay on a rock and looked up at the stars in the sky. He really didn't want to peep at a beauty bathing, but this place was in the inner circle of the Fox clan, and it was really too unsafe. He had to protect Tang Xiaoxi at all times. After nearly half an hour, Tang Xiaoxi also lay in the spring and soaked for half an hour. Mumu, she shouted with a smile. What's wrong? Lin Muyu raised his head and said with a smile, don't tell me you want someone to scrub your back? In any case, I'm still a royal guard, and I have to pay to scrub your back? Nope. Tang Xiaoxi stood up and said with an ecstatic smile, Moo, look at me. Under the moonlight, the girl's graceful figure was lingering in the mist. The 9 tails behind Tang Xiaoxi had disappeared, and her eyes had changed from golden to beautiful black. She looked at Lin Muyu with a smile, and said excitedly, Look at me, I've changed back? Lin Muyu was stunned and couldn't help but look down and said, And after not seeing you for a few months, you've developed quite a bit. Ah, you scoundrel. Tang Xiaoxi pouted and hurriedly sat back in the spring and said, All right, turn around, I'll put on my clothes. A few minutes later, Tang Xiaoxi had already put on a young girl's outfit in the capital and looked at him with a smile. How do you feel now? Can you still change back to the 9 tails? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. After becoming a 9-tailed fox demon, your strength has doubled. You need this kind of power. Tang Xiaoxi smiled slightly, and her beautiful eyes were quickly covered with a layer of gold. The light behind her sword and the 9 golden flame tails danced quietly. She said with a smile, Do you have any questions? Lin Muyu pondered for a moment. I really want to know if there's a hole at the back of your shirt. Otherwise, how could the 9 tails extend out? If there's a hole, when you return to your human form, will you be able to see everything at the back? Tang Xiaoxi blushed and didn't know how to answer. Chapter 286. Early in the morning mist lingered in the demon race's headquarters in the endless forest. The distant building was simple and unadorned, but it also seemed like a holy object enshrouded in immortal qi. When Lin Muyu pushed open the door, 2 young girls of the Fox clan were holding a basin of clean water outside. They respectfully said, "Milord, we have come to help your highness get up and change your clothes." Lin Muyu nodded. "Go in." Tang Xiaoxi washed up while Lin Muyu leaned against the railing and looked at the scene in the distance. A group of youths of the Fox clan were urging their warhorses to gallop on the drill ground. They were training cavalry tactics such as stabbing, hacking, and encirclement. It seemed that after their failure decades ago, the demon race seemed to be looking for tactics to deal with the heavy cavalry of the humans. On the side, Saintess Ling Hu Yen was sitting on the stone platform under the railing. She said with a smile, "Young general, how are the light cavalry of our Fox clan?" "Average." Lin Muyu rubbed his nose. He was not lying. The skills and riding skills of these youths of the Fox clan were indeed very immature compared to those of the Imperial Army, Forbidden Army, and Longdan Army camp. Their understanding of cavalry tactics was only superficial. However, he still narrowed his eyes and said, But the warhorses of the Fox clan are indeed of excellent quality. Their speed and charging power are both considered top-notch. Young General has good eyesight, Ling Hu Yen said with a smile. The warhorses of our Fox clan are all wild horses captured from the grasslands to the northwest of the endless forest. They are naturally wild, and in terms of leg strength and endurance, they are definitely much better than the warhorses of the Central Plains. Why don't Ling Hu Yen make the decision on her own and gift the young general a warhorse? Lin Muyu's eyes lit up. In this world, a warhorse was equivalent to a carriage, signifying a person's mobility. Naturally, Lin Muyu was overjoyed and said with a smile, "Can I really?" Ling Hu Yen burst into laughter, covering her small mouth as she said, "Young General is Princess Xi's closest relative, and also the person who resolved the conflict between the Demon Clan and the humans. If it weren't for Young General, our Demon Clan's rebirth pool would not have been filled with divine power again. You are the benefactor of our Demon Clan, so a warhorse is naturally nothing. Ling Hu Yen has already ordered servants to bring the 2 best horses in the Forest of Infinity over. You and Princess Xi will each have one. What do you think?" "Good, very good." Lin Muyu nodded and said with a smile. At this moment, Tang Xiaoxi walked out of the door dressed in luxurious clothes. This was the beautiful embroidery unique to the Empire's Lanyan city, and together with the Fire Fox emblem of Qihai City, it was very beautiful. What was even rarer was that the Fire Fox family emblem of Qihai City was actually similar to the emblem of the Fox clan in the Endless Forest. This caused Ling Hu Yen to stare dumbfounded. She bowed and said, "Servant Ling Hu greets Princess Xi. Wow, Your Highness's clothes are so beautiful. The craftsmanship of the humans is truly wonderful." Tang Xiaoxi chuckled and said, "Ling Hu, if you want it, I will customize a set according to your figure when I return to the imperial capital and send someone to deliver it to you. What do you think?" "Thank you, Princess Xi." Ling Hu Yen smiled and thanked her with a red face. It seemed that although she was the supreme ruler of the Fox clan, she was still a young girl of the Fox clan after all, so she yearned for beautiful things just like human girls. Tang Xiaoxi smiled and asked, "What were you talking about just now? I heard that you were going to give me a gift." Ling Hu Yen nodded and said, "Young General has high praise for our Fox clan's warhorses, so this servant has decided to choose the 2 best warhorses of the Fox clan to gift to Young General and Princess Xi. Here they are already here. Come with me to take a look." As they walked down the pavilion, 2 sturdy Fox clan soldiers led the warhorses over. One was white and the other was black. The white one was a mare, and the black one was a stallion. Ling Hu Yen smiled and said, "These are 2 warhorses that I tamed 2 years ago. The white one is called Snow Pear, and the black one is called Danger Ground. I named them myself, but if Princess Xi and Young General are not satisfied with them, you can rename them." Lin Muyu chuckled and said, "I'm satisfied, how could I not be satisfied? Xiao Shi, with your personality, you must want Snow Pear, right?" Tang Xiaoxi nodded and said, "Yes, Mu wants Danger Ground. Danger Ground is more robust and suits you better." Lin Muyu walked forward and caressed Danger Ground's face. She subconsciously used the Spirit Pulse technique, and the beast-taming power of the Spirit Communication technique slowly seeped into the warhorse's brain. They instantly formed a preliminary contract. Danger Ground raised its head and neighed. It then walked forward and rubbed its head against Lin Muyu's arm. The Fox clan soldier leading the horse was stunned and said, "Heavens! What is it?" Although Danger Ground has been tamed into a warhorse, no one has ever been able to tame it. Even the most outstanding warrior of the Fox clan cannot ride Danger Ground. But now Lin Muyu smiled slightly and said, "It means that it is fated with me, ha." As she spoke, she pulled on the reins and flipped onto the horse. Danger Ground was instantly excited and suddenly stood up with a long neigh. Under Lin Muyu's scolding, it galloped away at an astonishing speed. It turned back in the blink of an eye and brought with it the wind. Tang Xiaoxi giggled and said, "Mu, do you like it?" "I like it." Lin Muyu praised from the bottom of her heart, "I have never ridden such a good horse in my life. Ling Huyen was also extremely happy and said, "It's great that the young general likes it. Your Highness Shi, this snow pear has a gentle temperament, but its speed is not slow either. Do you want to try it?" "There's no need." Tang Xiaoxi smiled and walked forward. After flipping onto the horse, she said, "Since the matter with the Fox clan has been settled, I should return to the Demon Suppression Pass. Ling Huyen, you must guard the endless forest well and truly control the entire demon clan. At the very least, you can't let those snake people and bear people recklessly attack humans or even eat them." Ling Huyen nodded respectfully and said, "This servant understands. Your Highness Shi, please rest assured." "That's good. We will return." "Yes, this servant will escort your Highness back." In the early morning, after a simple breakfast, the Fox clan sent out a total of 300 guards to escort Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi back to the Demon Suppression Pass. They really did not have any more troops because the main force of the Fox clan had all been captured and imprisoned in the camp of the Demon Suppression Pass along with tens of thousands of deer demons. After Lin Muyu used the power of the Conquest chapter to communicate with the warhorse, she did not need to lead the horse at all. She could control the warhorse's movements with just her consciousness. This greatly improved her horsemanship skills. She knew what kind of speed she could achieve in a dangerous situation, so she could fight on the horse without any distractions. After leaving the Fox clan's canyon, the corpses of the human soldiers on both sides of the road had already been cleaned and buried. It was probably the work of the human army led by Tang Jin. However, there were still some snake people, lizard men, and other demon clans that harbored evil intentions on both sides of the road. Their eyes did not show any signs of humanity, only their desire and greed for food. Hiss hiss, a snake person stared at Lin Muyu, and the long halberd in his hand also seemed to be ready to attack. Lin Muyu glanced at him out of the corner of her eye. Her eyes were filled with a strong killing intent, and the snake person actually understood her gaze. Suddenly, the snake person was so frightened that he let go of the hand holding the long halberd. With a ding, the long halberd fell to the ground. He curled up his body and bent down in the direction of Lin Muyu, as if he was submitting to her. This was the law of nature, the survival of the fittest. The powerful aura that Lin Muyu exuded was enough to intimidate this snake person. However, after walking for a short distance, Lin Muyu's spiritual pulse technique suddenly appeared in the dense aura of experts. Many of them were in the human realm and earth realm. They were all in the forest on the side, less than 500 meters away from each other. "Xiao Shi, Ling Hu, you two go first. I suddenly have to go to the forest over there to solve the problem." Lin Muyu pretended to be embarrassed. Ling Huyen chuckled. "Young general is really interesting." Tang Xiaoxi was a little speechless. "Mu, sometimes I really don't know what to say about you. I told you to drink less soup in the morning, but you just can't help it. That's because the Fox clan's soup is so delicious. "'Kay, I'm going. I'll catch up with you in a while." But Lin Muyu pulled the reins, and Danger Ground flew out like a wisp of smoke, galloping into the forest in the blink of an eye. As expected, a group of 7 Seas City soldiers were squatting there with bows and spears in their hands. There were even many people holding shields and leading warhorses. There were at least 10,000 people, and they looked like they were ready to attack at any time. "Who are you?" a Chiliarch shouted in a low voice. Lin Muyu spurred her horse into a cauliflower field, and her face was livid. "Are you crazy? What do you want to do?" "It's young general." The group of soldiers saluted respectfully. "Greetings, young general." In the crowd, Tang Jin held a steel saber and looked at Lin Muyu with a pale face. "Young general, how did you find out we were lying in ambush here?" "You don't need to know that. I only have one question. What do you want to do here?" "Tang Jin, answer me," Lin Muyu said coldly. Tang Jin saluted with some apprehension, but he couldn't hide the hatred on his face. "Young general, our 7 Seas City's army of 70,000 died in this barren land. They were all the sons of our children's fathers and mothers, and they died in battle here just like that. When we came here to collect the corpses, we found that many of their corpses were incomplete. They were actually eaten by those Nagas as food. Young general, If we don't take revenge for this, we're not human. Tang Zhen, Lin Muyu said sternly. Are you trying to put me and Princess Shi in an inhumane and unjust situation? We've just negotiated peace with the demon race, and you want to start another war. Can you bear this responsibility? Tang Zhen was also an unyielding man. He raised his steel saber and said, Young general, I will bear the consequences of my own actions. The 10,000 soldiers of Seven Seas City behind me are willing to fight for hatred. Even if we all die here, at least we have a clear conscience. If the demonic beasts are not eliminated, there will be no true peace in the world. Lin Muyu gritted her teeth. Fine, now Tang Xiaoxi is in their hands. If you launch a surprise attack, Tang Xiaoxi will definitely die. You killed Tang Xiaoxi for hatred. Is this your clear conscience? Tang Zhen was speechless. Lin Muyu dismounted and reached out to pat Tang Zhen's shoulder. Brother, I also hate the cruelty of these Nagas. I also hate that so many imperial soldiers died in vain. But this is the price of war. Give up. Follow me back to Demon Subduing Pass. Cancel this surprise attack. This is my military order as the commander of the frontline army. Tang Zhen lowered his gaze. After a while, he nodded and said, Yes, your subordinate obeys. Brothers, retreat. Chapter 287. In the Demon Subduing Pass, Qin Yin stood on the gate, looking at the troops in the distance with her beautiful eyes. Finally, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi came back. Looking from afar, Tang Xiaoxi's fox ears had disappeared and were replaced by human ears. This made Qin Yin extremely excited. She said with a smile, General Feng, Xiaoxi has returned to her original appearance. Feng Jixing nodded and smiled. Yes, I just don't know if Beauty Linghu has chosen a fox beauty as a wife for me. Qin Yin, after Lin Muyu, Tang Xiaoxi, and Linghu Yan entered the pass, Qin Yin and Feng Jixing immediately went to greet them. Tang Zhen and the others also followed. It was a large group of people. Xiaoxi, did you succeed? Qin Yin asked with a smile. Tang Xiaoxi chuckled. That's good. On the side, Feng Jixing was a little disappointed because Linghu Yan didn't take the matter of choosing a wife for him to heart. Perhaps in Linghu Yan's view, Feng Jixing was handsome and powerful. Besides, as the commander of an army, it was impossible that no girls would like such a man. With so many young girls in Lanyan City, how could Feng Jixing not worry about women? But in fact, General Feng had always been obsessed with military affairs and rarely went out to play with women. Of course, it was only a matter of rarely. Standing on the gate, Lin Muyu looked back at the group of demon soldiers imprisoned in the pass. They were unarmed and could only fight back with the instinct of the demon race. At this time, it was easy to kill them, but it also meant that they would lose the alliance with the demon race. Even if they killed these 5 elites and Linghu Yan, the saintess inside the pass, what could they do? The reward would be nothing more than more cruel revenge from the Naga and Lizardmen. At that time, the Empire would probably pay a greater price. Open the door and release the demon captives. Lin Muyu gave a simple order. Instantly, the group of Seven Seas City captaincy fell silent. One of them cupped his fists and said, Young General, are we really going to release them? If that's the case, it might be equivalent to releasing a tiger back into the mountains. Lin Muyu furrowed her brows and said, The demons and humans have already formed an alliance. There's no need for us to waste more manpower and resources here. The Empire's treasury has always been empty, and we can't afford to waste more resources here. But young General, he wanted to say more, but Lin Muyu turned to Su Ying and asked, Old General Su, what do you think? Su Ying's eyes flickered with the light of wisdom. He cupped his fists and said with a smile, This old general will listen to young general. Young General is the supreme commander of Demon Suppressing Pass. Young General's military orders are like a mountain, no one dares to disobey. When he said this, the group of Seven Seas City captaincy immediately didn't know what to say. Lin Muyu raised her hand and loudly ordered, Open the gate and release the demon captives. To the side, Feng Jixing saw this and couldn't help but cast a look of approval. Meanwhile, Qin Yin followed behind Lin Muyu with a smile, looking like a little sister. If not for the fact that she was dressed as an imperial princess, others might really think that she was Lin Muyu's little sister. With the sound of iron chains twisting, the heavy iron gates slowly rose, and the gates of the cages opened one after another. The next moment, Ling Huyen appeared below the gate and said with a smile, "Brave warriors of the demon race, we are going home." The group of demon soldiers cheered and leapt as they left. Lin Muyu stood at the gate and cupped her fists to Ling Huyen, who was riding on horseback, saying, "Saintess, we will meet again. Since we have already formed an alliance, the imperial soldiers of Demon Suppressing Pass will not cross this gate. I also hope that the demon race will not offend you and will not repeatedly provoke and invade the borders of the empire." Ling Huyen bowed on horseback and said with a smile, "Rest assured, young general. Ling Hu understands." As she spoke, she respectfully bowed to Tang Xiaoxi and said, "Your Highness Shi, this servant is returning to the Forest of Infinity. The Forest of Infinity welcomes your Highness home at any time. The hundreds of thousands of demon soldiers in the Forest of Infinity are at your Highness Shi's disposal at any time." Tang Xiaoxi smiled and nodded. "Go, Ling Huyen." Ling Huyen turned around, pulled the reins, and slowly left with the group of captives. Lin Muyu took a deep breath. The chaos of the demon race had finally been settled. Feng Jixing slapped Lin Muyu's shoulder and said with a smile, "Good lad, the chaos has been settled. The problem that Yuan Xie couldn't solve even after losing 70,000 soldiers was solved by you without shedding a single drop of blood. This time, when you return to Lanyan City, you will definitely make a great contribution. His Majesty will definitely reward you well." Lin Muyu laughed bitterly. "Reward me? I'll thank the heavens if he doesn't lock me up in prison." Haha. Feng Jixing laughed heartily. "All right, now that the chaos has been settled, you can come back with us to the imperial capital to hand in your orders. His Majesty has already ordered me to leave the Imperial Guard's Chiliarch, Sun Kailin, to guard the demon subduing pass." It's him. Behind Feng Jixing, a bearded general of about 40 years old cupped his fists and said, "This general obeys. I will definitely guard the demon subduing pass." Lin Muyu smiled and stepped forward to pat his shoulder. "General Sun, guard this place well. Remember, the humans and the demon race have already formed an alliance. We must never provoke them. The only thing you have to do is to guard the pass and never take a step further. Even if the demon race provokes you, you must endure it. Do you understand?" Sun Kailin said respectfully, "This general has learned his lesson. Rest assured, young general. This general knows what to do." "That's good. Brother Feng, Xiao Yin, and Xiao Shi, let's return to Lanyan City." "All right." After lunch, they set out on their way back. There were still many wounded soldiers groaning miserably in the barracks below the city. Fortunately, the spiritual medicine department had sent over a lot of medicine, so there were basically no more casualties. However, Yuanxia had lost 7 imperial warriors in the battle at the demon subduing pass and killed no more than 5 of the enemy. This kind of crushing defeat was extremely rare after Qin Jin's ascension to the throne. Presumably, Yuanxia's position as the protector of the nation could no longer be maintained. Along the way, all living things on Earth were recovering, flowers were blooming in the warmth of spring, and rape flowers were blooming all over the ground. Tang Xiaoxi had returned to her original self, and everyone was in a good mood. However, when Feng Jixing talked about his experiences in the dragon-seeking forest, he learned about Elder Jing. "So Sima Jing was killed by you?" Feng Jixing muttered to himself. Sima Jing followed Duke Lan on expeditions for many years and was one of Duke Lan's most capable and trusted subordinates. He was also one of the soldiers of the river-subduing army personally conferred by His Majesty. Who would have thought? Lin Muyu grabbed the reins of Jietti and said, "I didn't want to kill him at first, but this Elder Jing was too overbearing. Moreover, I overheard his conversation with Tang Bin. When they first entered the dragon-seeking forest, he already had the intention to kill Xiao Shi." To the side, Tang Xiaoxi's body trembled slightly. Her eyes were slightly red as she said, Qin Yin gently held her hand and comforted her. Xiaoxi doesn't need to blame yourself. This isn't your fault. Feng Jixing sighed. The Seven Seas province is vast and populous, and the Seven Seas city is one of the 7 great cities of the empire. To be honest, this temptation is too great, and it's normal that Tang Bin couldn't resist it. However, now that the legend of Xiaoxi's 9-tailed fox has been solved, she has obtained a new identity, Her Royal Highness of the Endless Forest, controlling an army of over 100,000 demons. This matter definitely can't be hidden. Duke Lan will soon find out about this. At that time, I'm afraid that Duke Lan will hand over the inheritance of the Seven Seas city to Xiaoxi without hesitation, right? Qin Yin chuckled. Congratulations, Xiaoxi. This is a blessing in disguise. From now on, the scepter of the Seven Seas province should be under Xiaoxi's control. Tang Xiaoxi's expression was a little sad. Even so, it's just a scepter stained with the blood of my loved ones. Lin Muyu looked up at the willow catkins floating in the sky and said with a smile, This is how the world is. Xiaoxi, you should try to accept it as soon as possible. By the way, Brother Feng, I met a group of very strange wandering mercenaries on my way to the dragon's tomb. Strange mercenaries? Feng Jixing laughed. Mercenaries are mercenaries. They're all people who can eat, drink, gamble, smoke, cheat, and steal. What's so strange about it? Lin Muyu said, They recognize that I'm from the holy sanctum, but still wanted to attack me. Moreover, this group of mercenaries is very strong, and they've basically stepped into the human realm. Logically speaking, such a group of people doesn't need to be wandering mercenaries at all. They can have a foothold anywhere. Moreover, the swordsmanship they use is very strange. I've never seen it in Lanyan City. Feng Jixing was stunned. What kind of strange swordsmanship? Show me. Lin Muyu tried hard to recall. Then, he pulled out the dragon spirit sword and waved it a few times on the horse. The air was filled with the light of the sword, and it was very beautiful. After a few seconds, he sheathed the sword and said with a frown, That's it. The swordsmanship is very strange, and I still remember it clearly. Feng Jixing's body trembled and he said, This is Lingnan swordsmanship. Lingnan swordsmanship? Lin Muyu was stunned. Swordsmanship from Lingnan? So, this group of wandering mercenaries is from Lingnan? It's not what you think. Feng Jixing frowned and said, As everyone knows, the Qinling Mountains divide the empire's territory into 2 parts. There are a total of 8 provinces in the north and 4 in the south. Every winter, the mountains are sealed by heavy snow, and the Qinling Mountains cannot be crossed. So, the north and the south are almost isolated from each other. The most prosperous province in Lingnan is the Lingnan province, which is the fief of the Southern Guardian King Qin Yi. The Southern Guardian King created a set of military swordsmanship called the Lingnan swordsmanship. Every soldier in the Lingnan army will practice the Lingnan swordsmanship. The crux of the problem lies here. How could a group of wandering mercenaries from the Lingnan province know how to use the Lingnan swordsmanship? Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel a chill run down her spine. Brother Feng, you mean to say that this group of wandering mercenaries is actually from the Lingnan Empire's army? Feng Jixing nodded. For the past year, I always felt that a storm was coming. Now, it seems that it is really coming. At the side, Qin Yin blinked her eyes and said, Second uncle, he shouldn't have any disloyal intentions, right? After all, he is father's younger brother, and although the Lingnan province has sufficient military strength, it should not be able to contend against the 8 provinces of the Lingnan province. Moreover, there is still the natural moat of the Qinling Mountains between the north and the south. Feng Jixing nodded. Yes, that is true, but there are always accidents. When we return to the imperial capital, Your Highness, you, and I will report this matter to His Majesty together. Chapter 288. Late at night, the interior of the Zetian Palace was brightly lit. The palace maids had lit up the Crane Palace lanterns. the light from the lanterns gathered together and swayed with a gust of wind. After dismissing a few officials, Qin Jin left behind only Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, Qin Lei, Chu Huaying, and the other people close to him. He asked with a serious expression, Is what General Feng said true? Are those mercenaries skilled in the Lingnan sword style? Lin Muyu nodded. Yes, what General Feng said is true. Qin Jin muttered, Who do you think these wandering mercenaries are after? The dragon forest is filled with danger. These wandering mercenaries would not barge in without a purpose. In fact, there is no need to guess. They are also after Xiaoxi, Lin Muyu said calmly. Tang Xiaoxi was slightly startled. She said, Even if they are from the Lingnan Empire, why are they looking for me? Qin Yin's beautiful eyes shone with wisdom. She said, Xiaoxi, you are Duke Lan's most cherished descendant and one of the successors of the entire Seven Seas province. Therefore, there are only two reasons why the Lingnan army is looking for you. First, they want to save you and then claim credit from Duke Lan to build a good relationship with the Seven Seas province. Second, they want to bring you back to Lingnan after finding you and use you to threaten Duke Lan. These are the only two reasons. Tang Xiaoxi was silent. There was an indescribable sadness in her eyes. When did the carefree her become an important chess piece on the chessboard of the empire? Feng Jixing took a deep breath and cupped his fists. Thinking about how the House of Chivalry has tried to make a move against Xiaoxi time and time again, this seems to make more sense. The House of Chivalry's influence in Lingnan has not been affected in the slightest by the imperial edict and is still growing strong. I believe that the true mastermind behind the House of Chivalry is perhaps one of the powerful ministers in Lingnan. One of the powerful ministers? Qin Jin's eyes shone brightly as he said, Lei. Qin Lei cupped his fists and said, This subordinate is here. Summon your father to Lanyan City tomorrow morning. I haven't seen my third brother for a long time. Yes, I understand. Qin Jin raised his head to look at the crowd again and said, Feng Jixing, tighten the security of the imperial capital. Chu Huayao, you must finish the reorganization of the Flying Mount Battalion within 3 days. I want an invincible Flying Mount Battalion to protect the imperial capital. Chu Huaijin cupped his fists. I will not let you down. Qin Jin then looked at Lin Muyu. His gaze softened as he said, Son, you have done a great service in quelling the demon race's war. Also, you saved Princess Xiaoxi in the dragon-seeking forest by yourself, which is also a great service. However, I really don't know how to reward you for killing Tang Bin by mistake. Now, what kind of reward do you want? Lin Muyu thought for a moment, then cupped his fists and said, Father, I don't want anything else. I only ask that you give me 20,000 Empire Army badges. Is that okay? Empire Army badges? Qin Jin was surprised. What do you want these for? Lin Muyu explained, Does father still remember the Longdan army camp? This mercenary group is under my control, but mercenaries are mercenaries after all. They don't have a final goal, so I hope that father can secretly bestow me 20,000 Empire Army badges. This way, the Longdan army camp will belong to the Imperial Army, just not directly under the control of the Ministry of War. This way, I can comfort the hearts of these mercenaries. This way, even if there are any changes in the future, their blood and tears will still flow for the Empire. All right. Qin Jin stood up excitedly and said, Everyone needs comfort. We will definitely not let the Longdan army camp down. Someone, immediately order the Ministry of Works to quickly cast 20,000 Empire Army badges made of pure gold and hand them to Lin Muyu. Yes, Your Majesty. An attendant received the order from a distance and left. Is there anything else that you need? Qin Jin asked with a smile. He seemed to feel that these 20,000 badges were far from enough to make up for Lin Muyu's achievements. However, Lin Muyu shook her head and said, There's no need for anything else. You really don't need it? Qin Jin smiled. The protector of the state, Yuan Xie, made a mistake in command in the Battle of Demon Subduing Pass, causing the Seven Seas province to lose nearly 70,000 elite soldiers. I've already stripped him of his military position. I was originally planning to give this third-rank military rank to you. Lin Muyu was stunned. Father wants to promote me? That's naturally good. Just do it. Qin Jin couldn't help but laugh. Immediately promote Lin Muyu to rank 3 national general. Her salary and duties will be promoted accordingly. She will be specially granted the Dragon Talisman and can mobilize no more than 20,000 troops within the Empire's borders at any time. Thank you, Father. Lin Muyu sincerely expressed his thanks. This time, the power in his hands was even greater. Qin Jin had adopted him as his son without any title or other rewards, so many people didn't even care about him as a prince. But now that he had been promoted to rank 3 national general, it was likely that those people would no longer be able to not look up to him. Suddenly, the words of the 7 luminaries demon emperor echoed in his heart. If you want others to respect you, you must first make them fear you. These words really made sense. In the middle of the night, he sent Tang Xiaoxi back to the Duke's mansion. Tang Xiaoxi had just obtained 3 fire god's seal fragments, so she naturally had to cultivate well. As for Lin Muyu, he returned to the Holy Temple to rest. After all, the Holy Temple was his home. As for the National General, the seals had already been placed in the Cosmos sack. Qin Jin wanted to build a new residence for him in the imperial capital, but he probably wouldn't be able to move in for the time being. The next day, when Lin Muyu attended the morning court as the National General, a shocking piece of news arrived. A little earlier, Zheng Yifan had sent a memorial to Qin Jin, requesting to retire and return to his hometown. In the end, Qin Jin had agreed. At the same time that everyone was attending court, the Divine Marquis residents was already packing their luggage and preparing to move back to their hometown in Tianshu province. At this point, Lanyan City could be considered to have truly changed. The conservative forces led by Zheng Yifan had gradually lost their pillar of support, while Lin Muyu, Chu Huaying, Zhang Wei and the others who had been groomed by Qin Jin all held military power. The world of Lanyan City had truly become the world of the Qin family. In the main hall, Prince Jining, Qin Jin, placed his hand on the hilt of his sword and said with a smile, "Royal brother, I wonder why you have summoned me here this time? Could it be that you want me to go fishing with you again?" Qin Jin couldn't help but burst into laughter. Third brother must be joking. Recently, I have been busy with government affairs and have no time to go fishing. However, there is indeed a matter that requires both of us to complete, and we really want to go fishing. Oh, what do you mean? Qin Jin asked with a smile. As Prince Jining, Qin Jin didn't hold any military power. On the day Qin Jin ascended to the throne, Qin Jin had handed over all military power and no longer meddled in government affairs. Therefore, he had a good reputation as Prince Jining in Lanyan City. Not fighting was the best strategy. Qin Jin nodded and muttered, "Third brother, how long has it been since you last saw your second brother?" "Second brother?" Qin Kuang smiled. "About 5 years." "Yes, it's been 5 years in the blink of an eye." Qin Jin sighed and said, "It's been 5 years since the 3 of us have gathered together. Now that spring is in full bloom, I plan to let Xiao Yin oversee the country for a month and meet up with you, second brother, to go fishing at Fairy Lake in Dubhe province. We can relive the joy of childhood. What do you think, third brother?" Qin Jin was overjoyed and said with a smile, "I'm so happy that Imperial Brother has this idea. As long as Imperial Brother issues an Imperial Edict, the 3 of us will be able to reunite at Fairy Lake. No, I have to go back and tidy up the fine wine in the residence. We can fish and enjoy the wine at the same time. That's the joy of brothers." Qin Jin laughed and said, "Yes, then let's do it this way. Xiao Yin has grown up, and it's time for her to gain some experience. I will be leaving the capital for a month. During this month, all the state affairs will be handed over to Her Highness. I hope that all the officials can do their best to assist my daughter. I'm afraid the Qin Empire will have to rely on all of you in the future." The officials all knelt on the ground. "Rest assured, Your Majesty. We will do our best to assist Her Highness Yin." "Yes." Qin Jin nodded and said, "Third brother, then write a letter and send it to Lingnan with my imperial edict." Once second brother's reply is received, we will head to Dubhe province together. Yes, your majesty. At this moment, Feng Jixing cupped his fists and said, Your majesty, shall I lead the imperial guards to Dubhe province with you as guards? Qin Jin waved his hand and said, The imperial guards have the heavy responsibility of protecting the capital. They are not allowed to leave Lanyan city. Qin Lei said, Then this general will lead the imperial guards to protect her. Qin Jin smiled slightly and said, The imperial guards have to protect Xiao Yin and are not allowed to leave without permission. Qin Jin was stunned. Then what army does imperial brother plan to bring to Dubhe province? There will be bandits running amok along the way, and it's not very safe. How can we go without enough troops? Qin Jin smiled. I will transfer 50,000 elite soldiers from the Tianchong army and 40,000 soldiers from the Longquan army to guard the imperial mausoleum. When we pass through Cangnan province, I will ask Si Kongfan for another 10,000 elite soldiers. 100,000 elite soldiers will follow us to Dubhe province. That should be enough, right? Enough, enough. Qin Jin was extremely excited and said with a smile, Back then, the three of us brothers would fish, play chess, ride, and shoot every day. Now that we are old, if we can relive the happiness of our childhood once again, it would be enough even if we die. A third brother, you are a straightforward person, but your words are really inauspicious. After the discussion, Qin Jin asked Lin Muyu to stay and accompany him and Qin Yin for lunch. At noon, Qin Jin, the emperor of the empire, once again put on an apron and began to cook lunch. Every time he cooked, he would do it himself and did not need anyone's help. From cutting the vegetables to lighting the fire and cooking, he did it all by himself. As for Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, their task was to wait at the side for the meal to be served. Imperial father, are you really going to Dubhe province to fish? Lin Muyu asked. Qin Jin smiled. Yes, we three brothers of the Qin clan have not gathered for a long time. However, Qin Yin had a worried look on her face. What if second uncle really has the intention to be disloyal? That is a matter between brothers, so let it be settled between brothers. There is no need to use weapons, Qin Jin said with a slight smile. Lin Muyu asked, What if the prince of Zhenan, Qin Yi, does not accept imperial father's invitation? The knife in Qin Jin's hand that was cutting vegetables suddenly tightened, and with a pa sound, it was hammered into the wooden board. He said indifferently, Then it will give me a good reason to send troops to Lingnan. I have already sent a letter to Duke Lan and Duke Yun. As long as Lingnan has the intention to be disloyal, Lingbei will send 700,000 soldiers to cross the Qinling Mountains and redraw the territory of the empire at all costs. Chapter 289. In the afternoon, Lin Muyu made a trip to the Longdan Army Camp's post house in Lanyan City. She discovered that the post house had expanded quite a bit. It had swallowed up a pharmacy on the side, flattened the houses, and built a small drill ground in the imperial capital where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. When Lin Muyu walked through the door, she could see the figures of dozens of cavalrymen practicing their battle techniques from afar. The person in charge of the post house was the tiger-level commander, Luo Jian. After not seeing him for a long time, he had actually cultivated from the first level of the Earth realm to the second level. His cultivation had greatly increased, and the charm in his eyes had become more reserved. My lord! Luo Jian brought Lin Muyu into the depths of the post house and said with a smile, Deputy Commander Luo, you asked me to tell you that the Longdan Army Camp currently has more than 20,000 elite soldiers. Moreover, they are all well-trained and well-equipped. In addition, the Dragon Rocky village at the foot of the mountain is constantly being moved here to settle down. The total population has already exceeded 100,000. Lin Muyu nodded. The houses should have long since been insufficient, right? Yes, but they are constantly being expanded. In addition, Lord Luo Yu has sent 5 patrol teams to patrol the village around the clock. The security of this Dragon Rocky village is not inferior to that of Lanyan City. That's good. Do you have any other requests? Luo Jian touched his nose and smiled. Lord Luo Yu wants more white diamond arrows, so she sent me to transport 100,000 arrows to the imperial capital. There were a total of 10 carts, but when we passed through the north gate of Lanyan City, we were stopped by the imperial guards. They believed that this batch of steel arrows was more than what a martial artist could carry. They thought that our Longdan army camp had crossed the line and smuggled military supplies. Damn, Lin Muyu grinned. In a while, take my ribbon seal and ask for the things back. After the imperial guards see my ribbon seal, they will definitely let us go. Even if His Majesty has given his permission, they will not stop us. There is one more thing. What is it, guild leader? I've applied to His Majesty and asked the Ministry of Works to forge 20,000 badges of the Imperium for the Longdan army camp. They'll be shipped here soon. Take these badges back to Dragon Rocky Mountain and tell our brothers that His Majesty knows of their existence and recognizes them as warriors who fight for the Imperium. Let them train and improve their combat ability with peace of mind, so that they can become a powerful troop in Lanyan City that cannot be ignored. Yes. Luo Jian was overjoyed and said with a smile, everyone will be overjoyed when they see this batch of emblems, especially Lady Luo Yu. Lin Muyu nodded. She also knew that Luo Yu's ancestor was Luo Tonghai, who was ranked second among the Soaring Clouds Pavilion's 26 meritorious subjects. Luo Yu's greatest wish was to become a famous general like her ancestor. Joining the Empire's army was the first step, but it was also a very precious first step. Not long after, a cart of golden badges was transported over by the officers from the Ministry of Works. Lin Muyu personally signed the receipt and sent the people from the Ministry of Works away. When she opened the box, she saw a golden light in front of her. She picked up a badge and looked at it. The people from the Ministry of Works were indeed skilled and ingenious. This badge was not much different from the Imperial Army's common military badge. The golden purple flower was very dazzling, but there was a small engraving of the words Longdan Army Camp at the bottom of the badge. This was truly an honor that no other army had ever had. Luo Jian was grinning from ear to ear. He picked up a badge and buckled it on his armor. He said with a smile, "In this case, the Imperial Guards will no longer obstruct our movements when we enter and leave the Imperial capital." Right at this time, the sound of wheels turning could be heard from outside. The arrows from the 10 carriages were about to arrive. Lin Muyu immediately leapt up her horse and said, "Send all these arrows to the temple." They returned to the temple and had an early dinner. Then, they started working in the head deacon's office. The temple guards carried bundles of arrows in and piled them in front of Lin Muyu. There were too many of them, and it was really a headache. In the blink of an eye, there was a mountain of arrows in front of him. He could not help but feel his scalp go numb. However, when he thought about the power of the white diamond arrowheads, he obediently refined them. These white diamond arrowheads were deadly weapons, and they could also protect him. No matter how much effort he put in, it would be worth it. He took out the treasure refining cauldron and took out 4 white diamond crystals at the same time. He quickly refined them and extracted the essence of the white diamond crystals and plated them on the steel arrowheads. This was a boring and tedious task, and it was also very exhausting. After an entire night, he had only smelted 20,000 white diamond arrowheads. There was still a lot of work left. F***CK. Looking at the mountain of arrows, Lin Muyu slowly collapsed on the office chair, panting heavily. The combat energy in her body was almost drained by the treasure refining cauldron. She needed to rest and rely on the golden gourd martial spirit to absorb the spiritual energy from the heaven and earth to replenish her depleted combat energy. In an instant, the golden gourd turned into a faint golden light that enveloped Lin Muyu's body, as if it was plated with a layer of gold. Indeed, after stepping into the second sky of the heavenly realm, the green gourd martial spirit had undergone a huge change. In the words of Lei Hong and Chu Chu, it was impossible to accurately determine whether the golden gourd martial spirit was a 10th grade martial spirit. However, the essence of its power was at least equivalent to a 3rd grade martial spirit. It was not inferior to Feng Jixing's violet electric flame wolf. This was enough to explain everything. Slowly sinking her spiritual sense into Yi, she saw a stretch of emerald green. This time, she did not know what kind of spiritual fruit the 7 luminaries demon emperor had planted in the sea. Lin Muyu slowly landed on the ground. The emerald green was made of vines that grew very vigorously. On the vines, there were large and moist fruits that looked like melons. She plucked one and bit down. The juice instantly burst out. So sweet and fragrant. Hey, where did this thief come from? The voice of the 7 luminaries demon emperor came from behind. Without turning her head, Lin Muyu laughed and said, "Demon emperor, you completely treat my Yi as your own personal property. You plant melons and beans whenever you want. You're too arrogant. You didn't even ask for my permission. Look at what you're saying. Didn't we already sign a contract?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised his eyebrows. Behind him was a blood-red cloak that fluttered in the wind. His dark red hair was tied behind his head, forming an exquisite braid. He looked very handsome. Perhaps it was because of the spiritual farm, but the 7 luminaries demon emperor's spiritual personality was becoming more and more complete. His spiritual body was almost completely reconstructed. He once again became the invincible 7 luminaries demon emperor. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be startled. She said, "Looks like your spiritual soul is becoming more and more powerful." The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled slightly. "That's right. My spiritual soul has already recovered by at least 70%. It will soon form a complete God Emperor's spiritual soul. Lin Ruoji, are you jealous?" "Jealous my ass." Although Lin Muyu was extremely jealous, she still had an arrogant look on her face. She said, "Even if your spiritual soul is completely restored, you still don't have a body." Sigh. The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled faintly and said, "Lin Muyu, I, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, have traveled the heaven realm, the purgatory, and the human realm for hundreds of thousands of years. I have seen countless people, but I only look at you in a different light. To be honest, I originally wanted to seize your soul, seize your body and make it mine. Within the 3 realms, your body is probably the most suitable for me. However, we have known each other for so long, and I don't want to see the day you become a soul without a master. How about this? Before I leave, I will teach you the 7 luminaries' profound energy. You can learn as much as you can. Consider it as a final gift from me, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, to you." "Why you want to leave?" Lin Muyu suddenly froze. She actually felt a sense of loss in her heart. That's right, after being in the Shattered Cauldron realm for so long, every time she faced danger, there would always be someone who would silently help her. Although the 7 luminaries demon emperor had always wanted to seize her body, in the end, he had always been helping her. Suddenly, the 7 luminaries demon emperor said that he wanted to leave, and she actually felt a sense of reluctance in her heart. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's spiritual soul was residing in Lin Muyu's Yi, so she could naturally sense the changes in his emotions. She couldn't help but laugh and say, "Stinking brat, you are usually so domineering, why are you so wishy-washy now? This isn't the Lin Ruoji we know. Brat, when my spiritual soul is complete, I will have enough divine power to leave your Yi and reconstruct my physical body. However, I still have to leave in the end. You will have to walk your own path in the future. My journey is to the vast heaven realm, where there are many gods, and your journey is to this chaotic world where there are iron horses and gold spears. Take care of yourselves. Now you can sleep. I will impart the power of the last 3 luminaries to you. How much you can comprehend will depend on yourself." Lin Muyu nodded lightly, closed her eyes and fell asleep. Not long after, images flashed past her mind. The sea of stars, the forest of evil spirits and so on. Not long after, waves of profound energy violently attacked her soul and body without mercy. The 7 luminaries demon emperor was such a person. He was called a demon by the gods of the heaven realm, so how kind could he be? For Lin Muyu to be able to consume the 7 luminaries' profound energy, it was his good fortune. If he couldn't, it meant that he didn't have this kind of fate. He could only blame himself if his body exploded and he died. Of course, the 7 luminaries demon emperor had actually been merciful. Otherwise, the profound energy attack could have been even more violent. It wouldn't have been a problem to burn Lin Muyu's central nervous system in an instant. In front of the 7 luminaries demon emperor's powerful god emperor godhead, even if Lin Muyu's soul had strengthened quite a bit through cultivation, he was still as weak as a chicken. Although he was asleep, the pain that Lin Muyu was enduring was incomparably clear. He couldn't help but clench his teeth, furrow his brows, and let out miserable howls. At the same time, there was an "oh woo woo woo" sound in his mind. It was the Acatosaurus's cry. It had signed a main pet contract with Lin Muyu, so naturally, it was the same as Lin Muyu, sharing the pain brought by the 7 luminaries' profound energy attack. It was really hard on that tender little fellow. No, it had already lived for 1,000 years, so it couldn't be considered a little fellow. Chapter 290. Spring had arrived in the Qinling Mountains. The snowy peaks quickly melted, revealing the endless green peaks below. The south of the Qinling Mountains was a fertile land where the people of the southern ridge lived. 1,000 miles to the south, there were 3 misty peaks that pierced through the clouds. One could faintly see spirit cranes flying among them. These spirit cranes had lived for more than 10,000 years. They were the crystallization of the spirit of heaven and earth. These spirit cranes were born kind and would never take the initiative to attack humans. This was also the reason why these 3 peaks were called sacred peaks. Between the steep ancient path, a group of people was slowly walking. This group of people was clustered around an old man in a white robe. This white robe was embroidered with golden purple flowers, and the hem was decorated with small purple gems. This old man looked to be around 60 years old. His eyes were faintly glowing as he lightly breathed. On the side, a person in military attire cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness, is that person really worth our effort?" The head that was called Your Highness said, "He may be the only god in the mortal world. As long as we can win his support, great things can be expected. General Ji Yao, you will know when you see him. The last time I saw him was 20 years ago, but after so many years, his every move seems to be right in front of me." Ji Yao was startled and said with a smile, "A person that can make the Southern Guardian King cross thousands of mountains and rivers to come to this barren land must be extraordinary. This subordinate will wait and see. Later, when you see him, you must be respectful. Don't talk nonsense." "Yes." About 2 hours later, the Southern Guardian King, Ji Yao, and the others finally reached the top of the mountain. On the top of the mountain, there was a golden palace that pierced through the clouds. It was like the palace of a god that had fallen into the mortal world. Outside the palace, several servants in plain clothes were waving brooms and sweeping the fallen leaves on the ground. When the Southern Guardian King and the others came close, they raised their heads and asked, "What are you all doing?" The Southern Guardian King respectfully cupped his fists and said, "The Southern Guardian King, Qin Yi, greets the Celestial Supreme Luo Lan. I hope the Celestial Supreme can grant me an audience." The servant smiled and said, "Your Highness, please go back. The Celestial Supreme has not seen anyone in the mortal world for many years." Qin Yi was taken aback. "This?" Ji Yao angrily put his hand on the hilt of his sword and yelled, "You are so unreasonable. Our Lord has come to invite him, but he is so rude. He doesn't even let him see the door. What kind of logic is this?" The attendant smiled. "General, Senior Immortal was originally one of the gods in the heaven realm. He cultivated in the mortal realm and did not want to come into contact with the mortal world. I hope General can understand." "I understand you." Ji Yao had a violent temperament. He drew his sword and slashed. The blade was filled with dou qi. He was going to split the attendant into 2. The Southern Guardian King wanted to stop him, but it was too late. However, at this moment, a faint smile appeared on the attendant's face. He suddenly let out a shout that was like a golden bell, and the sound waves struck the surrounding people to the point that they could not move at all. However, Ji Yao's sword could not continue slashing down no matter how hard he tried. It was as if his body was no longer under his control. Domain. This was the power of a domain. This unassuming sweeper was actually a sanctuary powerhouse. Ji Yao was dumbfounded. Qin Yi hurriedly cupped his fists and said, "My subordinate does not know the proper etiquette, please forgive him. Qin Yi only wants to see Senior Immortal once and listen to a few words of advice from Senior Immortal. This trip will not be in vain." The waiter sighed. "Since that's the case, come with me. But you're alone." "Yes." Qin Yi tidied up his sleeves and followed the attendant into the golden hall. He saw that the hall was filled with gold and jade, and there were a few towering trees planted there. These trees did not wither in the winter and were still green, which was amazing. Qin Yi was very respectful and followed the attendant all the way to the end of the hall. After opening the hall door, a tyrannical Qi immediately hit him in the face. Although Qin Yi had the Qin family's bloodline, like Qin Jin, he had not comprehended the god-binding chains. His cultivation was only at the first level of the earth realm. He was pushed back several steps and fell to the ground. Only then did he slowly crawl up and kneel on the ground. He walked into the hall and said sincerely, "Southern Guardian King Qin greets Senior Immortal Luo Lan." Inside the hall, an old man with white hair and beard sat on a throne. His divine aura was restrained, and he wore a white robe. There were more than 10 people sitting on both sides of him. Each of them seemed to have an imposing manner. "Your Highness Southern Guardian King, we meet again." Luo Lan opened her eyes and smiled at Qin. Qin Yi hurriedly knelt down and cupped his fists, saying, "Yes. To be able to see Senior Immortal again, Qin Yi's death is enough." "Tell me, why have you come here?" Luo Lan asked. Qin Yi said in a low voice, "In this world, Qin Jin has ascended to the throne and used powerful officials. The warlords of North Ridge have already established a separatist regime. They have levied taxes and plundered innocent women to make them their concubines. The heavens are angry and the people resent them. They have caused many lives to be torn apart. The emperor is so cruel and inhumane that the heavens and earth mourn." Qin Yi is untalented, but I am willing to unite the vassals of South Ridge and overthrow the emperor. I want people to be benevolent and all lives are equal. I want to build a country of righteousness and harmony and give the people a chance to live an equal life. So, Qin Yi is bold enough to ask Senior Immortal to come out of seclusion and pacify the world for me. "How dare you?" A big man with a curly beard on Luo Lan's right shouted, "Qin Yi, who do you think you are? How dare you try to order Senior Immortal? You are too arrogant." Qin Yi hurriedly knelt down again. "Senior Immortal, if not for me, please do it for the people of the world." Luo Lan smiled slightly, raised his palm and pushed lightly. Immediately, an invisible force quickly helped Qin Yi up. Then, Luo Lan stood up and stepped out, but with a chi-la sound he stepped into a crack in space. In the next second, his figure appeared at the entrance of the hall 100 meters away. Looking at the vast clouds in the sky, Luo Lan said lightly, "King of South Subduing, do you really want to fight for the people of the world?" Qin Yi turned around and said humbly, "Yes, after obtaining the world, Qin Yi will never call himself emperor." "Is that so?" Luo Lan smiled and said, "Qin Yi, do you know why I, Luo Lan, am unwilling to ascend to the heaven realm after 10,000 years? Because..." Luo Lan narrowed his eyes and said, "Because the gods of the heavens cannot tolerate the gods of the lower realm. Instead of being reduced to the bottom in the heaven realm, it is better to live freely and happily in the human realm. What do you think?" "Senior Immortal is wise." "Yes." Luo Lan's gaze seemed to pierce through Qin Yi's heart. She said lightly, "I don't care if you are doing this for the people of the world, and I don't care if you ascend to the throne after obtaining the world, but if you want me to help you, you must promise me one thing." "Senior Immortal, please say it." Qin Yi was a little excited. Luo Lan smiled and said, "After you obtain the world, you must rebuild the shrine and worship me, Luo Lan. In addition, you must take out 20% of the annual tax revenue from the national treasury and offer it to me. As long as you fulfill these two conditions, I will leave the mountain and help you obtain the world." Qin Yi's eyelids trembled a little. 20% of the nation's tax revenue, Luo Lan was really demanding an exorbitant price. However, the temptation of a God-state expert was too great. Qin Yi couldn't resist it and immediately cupped his fists and said, "Qin Yi agrees. When can Celestial Venerable follow Qin Yi down the mountain?" Luo Lan waved her hand, "Anytime. At the same time, the 7 Saint Realm Masters under me can also be ordered." Qin Yi nodded, "Yes, thank you Senior Immortal Luo Lan." Luo Lan smiled and looked up at the vast mist in the sky again. "What is the heavenly Tao? It's just a matter of power." Everyone in the Saint Peak, listen up, follow me to the north of the mountain and kill that greedy emperor. Yes, Senior Immortal. Qin Yi bowed to the ground, but he could not help but have a smug smile on his face. Flap, flap, flap. The messenger bird flapped its white wings and gently landed on the greenhouse of the spiritual medicine department. It hopped to Chu Yao's hand. Chu Yao could not help but smile. She hugged the messenger bird and took out the scroll inside the tube. She opened it and saw Chu Huayin's handwriting. "The Valkyrie wood has been found. Brother will carve it for you within a month." Chu Yao couldn't help but giggle, and muttered to herself, "Big brother is really serious." On the side, a female alchemist smiled and said, "Deacon Chu Yao, your brother is now the commander of the Flying Mount Camp. Your elder brother, Chu Huayin, is now the commander of the Flying Mount Battalion. I heard that the Flying Mount Battalion has set up a camp outside the northern forest of the imperial capital and conducts drills every day. As a commander, he must be extremely busy with military affairs. You actually asked him to carve some exquisite pearl for you. This younger sister is really annoying. You're asking for a beating." Chu Yao waved her fist and said with a smile, "You don't know, but there is a legend in my hometown, Silver Fir City. Using the sturdy Valkyrie wood to make exquisite pearls and carving the appearance of the person you care about around the pearls, it can bless them and keep them safe." The female alchemist smiled. "Then tell me, what kind of appearance is carved on this exquisite pearl?" Chu Yao's face turned red. "There are 4 people in total. 1 is me, 1 is my brother, 1 is Sister Xianxia, and the last one." "Who is the last one?" The female alchemist jokingly said, "Let me guess, it must be a Deacon Lin from the Holy Temple opposite our spiritual medicine division. I heard that he is also a general who protects the nation, a high-ranking official." Chu Yao laughed and scolded, "I taught you to refine medicine every day, but you're not good at it. You actually know so much about these trivial matters. You is even busier than my brother, and he hasn't come to the spiritual medicine division to see me for many days. You can go to the spiritual medicine division to see him. I'm a girl, I have to be reserved." "Oh, our Deacon Chu Yao is actually so reserved, he. Stupid girl, I'll teach you first." After fooling around for a while, Chu Yao's expression suddenly darkened. "Xiao Lan, should we make a trip to the Divine Marquis's residence and visit Sister Xianxia?" The alchemist named Xiao Lan nodded. "Yes, I heard that the Divine Marquis Zheng Yifan moved his family to Tianshu province, but Xianxia insisted on not following the Divine Marquis back. She even threatened to kill herself, so the Divine Marquis left a few generals in the Divine Marquis's residence to protect Xianxia. Unfortunately, Lord Chu Huayin promised that he would never see Xianxia again. Why can't 2 people who love each other be together?" Chu Yao sat there absent-mindedly, pursing her red lips. Maybe they don't want to leave, they just want to watch over each other in Lanyan City. Xiao Lan. Chapter 291. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. 100,000 arrows had already been refined into white diamond arrowheads, and they had been handed over to Luo Jian to be delivered to Dragoncliff Mountain. Lin Muyu's understanding of the 7 luminaries' profound energy had also deepened to the 6th luminary's realm. Over the past few days, he had been constantly, secretly eating the spirit fields planted by the 7 luminaries' demon emperor in the sea, and the strength of his spirit soul had increased at an extremely fast pace. He could already easily control the fifth luminary's power of 5 elements 8 desolation, and he had even forcefully activated his battle energy and could barely use the profound energy of the 6 luminaries heaven and earth tribulation. Only the 7th luminaries, the strongest form of the 7 luminaries star transformation, had not been able to gain a basic understanding of it. As a result, the 7 luminaries demon emperor had often called him a weak chicken. But in reality, this fellow who was as weak as a chicken was able to use the 6 luminaries heaven and earth tribulation with merely the cultivation of the 2nd level of the heaven realm. This had already caused the 7 luminaries demon emperor to sigh in admiration. However, the 7 luminaries demon emperor was naturally competitive and arrogant, so other than scolding others, his words were as precious as gold. As a result, he would not praise Lin Muyu with even a single word. Early in the morning, the 50,000-strong army of the Tianchong Legion gathered outside Lanyan City to escort the monarch and Prince Yuning on their eastern patrol. Naturally, Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, Chu Huayin, and the other important generals had to send them off as well. A thick fog rose from the forest outside the city, and the fog turned into strands of dew that fell on Qin Yin's body, wetting the ends of her hair. Even when she blinked her eyes, tiny droplets of dew would slide down her slender eyelashes. The war drums thundered. This time, the Eastern Patrol was like an expedition. Qin Jin was dressed in golden armor, and at his waist hung the Desolation Sword, which symbolized imperial authority. His face was full of smiles as he chatted cheerfully with Prince Yuning Qin Yin, while Qin Yin's beautiful face was filled with reluctance and worry. "Xiao Yin, don't be so worried. It's not like Imperial Father won't come back." Qin Jin looked at his daughter dotingly and said, "While Imperial Father is patrolling the east, you must be more humble in managing government affairs. Remember, if you encounter any problems, ask Chu, Lei Hong, and the Right Minister. They are all important officials of the Empire and will be able to provide you with the correct opinions. You cannot slack off in military affairs either." Feng Jixing, Chu Huayin, and Qin Lei control all of the troops defending the imperial capital. "Yes, Imperial Father, I understand. You have to be careful along the way and take care of yourself. Don't worry." Qin Jin smiled and nodded. Then he looked deeply at Lin Muyu and said, "You, protect your little sister Xiao Yin and wait for Father to return from his tour. Do you understand?" Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said, "Don't worry, Imperial Father. I will definitely ensure Xiao Yin's safety." Then I'm relieved." Qin Jin smiled and said loudly, "East Patrol, depart." The war drums rumbled once more and the frontline heavy cavalry set off. The Tianchong Legion had a total of 90,000 soldiers, but there were less than 30,000 heavy cavalry. This was enough to show how valuable cavalry was. This time, the cavalry had all set off for the East Patrol, while the Central Army was guarded by shield soldiers and pikemen. The rear army was guarded by archers. The 50,000-strong army set off in a majestic manner and left Lanyan City. Qin Yin looked at the back of the East Patrol with a lost look in her eyes. Beside her, Tang Xiaoxi said, "Xiao Yin, let's go back as well. It's cold outside, don't freeze your body." Qin Yin nodded and frowned slightly. "I keep feeling a little uneasy. I really hope that Imperial Father can cancel this East Patrol." "Why? Are you worried about the Prince of Southern Defense, Qin Yi?" Tang Xiaoxi asked with a smile. Qin Yin nodded and said, "Imperial Uncle Qin Yi has not come to the capital to see Imperial Father for many years. Moreover, I heard that he is actively training soldiers in Lingnan. 10 years ago, there were already 200,000 soldiers in Lingnan, but who knows how many there are now. The secret agents that the capital sent to Lingnan reported that there are at least 500,000 soldiers in Lingnan." 500,000, Tang Xiaoxi chuckled. "Don't worry. Don't forget that these 500,000 soldiers may not be loyal to the Prince of Southern Defense. After all, there are still people like Earl Xiang, Lord Manning, and General Lin Yu. Moreover, there are military camps of the Empire every 10 miles to the north of the Qinling Mountains. As long as the soldiers of Lingnan leave the pass to the north, they will be discovered immediately. It can be said that if the Prince of Southern Defense really wants to rebel, he has no chance of winning. I hope so. Qinin still looked worried. She turned to look at Lin Muyu, only to find that he was holding a black ball in his hand and chatting with Chu Huayin. Brother Chu, is this the legendary Linglong Pearl? Yes, what's wrong? Isn't it small and exquisite? Chu Huayin glared. Damn, it's about the size of a duck egg. Do you dare to say that it's very exquisite? Lin Muyu also widened her eyes. What's more, what's that thing carved on it? It looks like a big yellow dog. You gave big sis Chu Yao's birthday present this thing? Chu Huayin glared and said, Yao asked me to carve characters on all 4 sides of the Linglong Pearl. It just so happens that the character on this side is you. This is what you look like, not a big yellow dog. Lin Muyu continued to widen her eyes. It's obviously a big dog with a big tail. How can you say that it looks like me? Brother Chu, we can't be so unreasonable. Brother Feng, do you think this looks like me? Feng Jixing grabbed the reins and raised his head to drink the wine in the gourd. After stretching his head to take a look, he said, Hey, Chu Huayin's carving skills are indeed extraordinary. Who else could it be if it wasn't you? You, don't blame me. Who asked Chu Huayin to treat me to this pot of wine? Lin Muyu glared at him and said, You're the most unprincipled person in our group. Qin Yin was speechless for a while. She coughed and said, The military police battalion has already announced countless times that we are not allowed to drink during missions. General Feng, as the commander of the Imperial Guards, you are drinking during a mission. What should you do? With a pa sound, Feng Jixing threw the gourd in his hand to the ground, causing the smell of wine to splatter all over the place. He looked extremely angry. Who stuffed this gourd into my hand and lied to me that it was water? There's no trust between people at all. This is simply shameless. Tang Xiaoxi was speechless. I wonder who is the shameless one. A few days later, at night, Lin Muyu was still facing the sky full of starlight. She stood alone in the inner hall of the sacred hall and looked up at the stars. The dark force in her palm surged, but she could not transform the power of the stars. It was as if the 7 glorious stars transformation was isolated from her body. Sigh. He held his breath for a while, but his battle energy quickly dissipated. He let out a long sigh and was slightly disappointed. In his Yi-Hai, the voice of the 7 luminaries demon emperor came. The 7 glorious stars transformation is an absolute art that I spent a whole 3,000 years to comprehend. Do you think it's that easy to learn? The power of the stars is the most mysterious power in the universe. An ordinary human body cannot withstand it at all. You are just a mortal now, so don't be discouraged. Take your time. Lin Muyu said, Demon Emperor, how do you feel as a god? God? The 7 luminaries demon emperor was stunned. He smiled and said, What can I feel? I'm just invincible. Everyone is afraid of me, respects me, and obeys my orders. Other than that, it's loneliness, endless loneliness. Loneliness? Lin Muyu smiled. Speaking of which, I'm also lonely now. The 7 luminaries demon emperor could not help but laugh. You're lonely because you miss women. I'm lonely because I'm invincible. Don't you think it's shameful? Who said that? I don't miss women. Bah, I'm living in your Yi-Hai. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? The 7 luminaries demon emperor laughed mockingly. Weak chicken, I know your heart is filled with Her Highness Qin Yin. And, to be honest, Qin Yin is a rare beauty. This emperor has roamed the universe for hundreds of thousands of years and has not seen many women who are as beautiful as her. It's rare that an ugly dog like Qin Yi could have such a beautiful descendant. If I were you, I would go to Zetian Palace and sleep with the princess while the emperor is not at home. Lin Muyu glared. That's why you're called the Demon Emperor. Everyone wants to beat you up. Brat, it's fine if you don't call me teacher, but you actually dare to mock me. Is there a disciple like you? If I knew this would happen, I would have taught you the 7 luminaries mantra in reverse. That way, you'd be better off dead than alive, Lin Muyu could not help but feel a chill in her heart. Don't scare me. Speaking of which, Demon Emperor, I've been feeling uneasy for the past few days. I don't know what's going on. Could it be an ominous sign? The 7 luminaries' demon emperor smiled faintly. An ominous sign? Don't forget, you have a strand of my divine power in your body. Since you're feeling uneasy, it's definitely not as simple as an omen. It's more likely that something is really going to happen. Your divine power is stronger than mine. You should be able to sense that something is going to happen, right? No, I'll be confused if I'm too concerned. What happens on this mainland has nothing to do with me. It doesn't matter who lives or dies, so I won't feel uneasy. The demon emperor spoke very calmly. In fact, he really did not care about these things. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and turned to look at a temple guard behind her. Call Luo Jian from the Longdan army camp. Yes. Not long after, Luo Jian rode his horse into the temple. After dismounting, he asked, Madam, what's wrong? Is something the matter? Nothing for now. Lin Muyu said faintly, Go to the Dragon Rocky Mountain personally and pass the order. Let the Longdan army camp maintain its vigilance and be ready to go out at any time. Don't slack on any training and wait for my orders. Yes, madam. With this, Lin Muyu felt a little more at ease. With the Longdan army camp around, at least they would not be caught off guard in any situation. Thousands of miles away, in the Qinling Mountains, spring had arrived, and it was the rainy season at this time. It was drizzling in the air, and this rain lasted for 3 consecutive days, as if it would not stop. In the darkness of the night, a group of people in green straw raincoats led horses draped in green grass as they walked slowly on the mountain path. The morning light shone from the eastern sky and shone on the mountains. Suddenly, countless people in green raincoats could be seen leading horses and holding weapons as they quietly crossed the Qinling Mountains. Chapter 292. Thud, thud, thud. The sound of horse hooves could be heard hurriedly. The messenger quickly entered the flying mount camp in the north of the city and presented the letter to him. Commander, a letter from Lady Lin Muyu from the Divine Temple. Oh, a letter from you? Chu Huayin smiled and opened the letter. There was a line of words written on it that wasn't very nice. Recently, I've been feeling uneasy. I'm afraid that there will be changes in the empire. As the commander of the flying mount camp, Elder Brother should send more scouts to patrol around the North Ridge province to maintain vigilance in the capital. Sincerely, Commander, what's the matter with General Lin Muyu? A cavalry captain asked. Chu Huayin frowned and said, You said that he has an ominous premonition that something will happen to the empire. Men, have the East Patrol team sent back any news? How is Her Majesty's current situation? A deputy general cupped his fists and said, We just sent back a letter last night. Everything is safe. Her Majesty has already met the Prince of South Garrison, Qin Yi. The 3 brothers should be enjoying fishing by the fairy lake now. That's good. Chu Huayin took a deep breath and said, Captain Li, pick 500 people from the Flying Mount camp and form a team of 5. Bring dry rations and divide them into 100 teams to patrol around the Earth Star Province, North Ridge Province, and Songnan Province. Once there are any abnormal movements, immediately report to me by messenger bird. I'll leave this matter to you. You must do a good job. Yes, Lord Commander. The cavalry captain cupped his fists and immediately turned to leave. Chu Huayin frowned under the light of the oil lamp. He looked up at the generals and said, Have there been any replies to the letters sent to the Seven Seas Province and Cloud Province? Have Duke Lan and Duke Yun agreed to send troops to make up for the emptiness of the capital's military forces? A cavalry captain stepped forward and said respectfully, Duke Yun has replied. He said that he is currently preparing for the rations and warhorses. In a few days, he will send 30,000 cavalry to the capital to protect Her Highness Yin. There's still no news from Duke Lan's side. He's probably still brooding over young General Lin Muyu killing Tang Bin. Chu Huaijin gently punched the table and said, Tang Lan, don't forget that Xiao Shi is still in Lanyan City. If something happens in Lanyan City, can Xiao Shi stay out of it? The cavalry commandant said, Commander, should we inform Commander Feng Jixing about this patrol? Chu Huaimian nodded and said, I'll personally make a trip to the Imperial Army's encampment tomorrow morning. The Imperial capital's defenses are too weak at the moment. There are only 50,000 soldiers. If anything happens, I'm afraid these 50,000 soldiers won't be able to defend the massive Lanyan city. At the side, a military officer laughed and said, Lord Commander, you don't have to worry so much. The Empire is at peace. Moreover, His Highness, the Prince of Jinan, and His Majesty are on patrol at Fairy Lake. What other changes can there be when the North and the South are together? Chu Huaimian looked at him deeply and said, Lin Muyu, have you seen this person before? I haven't. Then you can get to know him. Yu's actions are always unexpected. His predictions are most likely not wrong. No, I have to go to the Imperial Army's encampment now. Bring 500 soldiers with me. In the Imperial Army's encampment, under the yellow light, Feng Jixing was wrapped in a blanket. He was holding Xiang Wentian's 7 Victorious Tactics scroll and reading it carefully. He sneezed frequently and his face was pale. Lord Commander, Commander Chu of the Flying Mount Battalion requests an audience, a guard outside the tent said respectfully. Let him in. Watch the tea. When Chu Huaimian entered the tent with 2 cavalry commandants, he couldn't help but be stunned. Feng Jixing, are you sick? It's just a cold. It's just a minor illness. Feng Jixing smiled and said, I will circulate my energy to force the cold poison out of my body. You have such good skills. Why do you need a medical officer? Chu Huaimian sat down and moved the brazier in front of Feng Jixing. He said, with your cultivation, Feng Jixing, it's not easy for you to catch a cold. Old Chu, you didn't come to the Imperial Army's encampment so late just to treat me to a drink, right? Of course not. Chu Huaimian sat down and said, these days, His Majesty has gone to Tanshu province, and His Highness is in charge. Feng Jixing, don't you feel a little uneasy? Feng Jixing said seriously, the price of the Yinhua wine in the winery is high, the women in the Yihong brothel are getting uglier, the glutinous rice in the capital's rice shop is always mixed with sticky rice, and those bastards in the Ministry of Revenue are always late in paying the army. I can't live like this anymore. I feel uneasy every day. *CK. Chu Huaimian stood up. Be serious or I'll leave. Feng Jixing laughed. All right, I won't joke around anymore. Tell me what's the matter. Chu Huaimian said, in the past 7 days, the Fire Sparrow Division in Lanyan City has not received a single case regarding the bandits in the Qinling Mountains. The hunters near the Qinling Mountains are complaining that all the prey in the mountains suddenly disappeared without a trace, as if they had all been killed. In addition, the hundreds of hostels and inns in the villages outside Lanyan City are almost all full, and people even have to go to Lanyan City to buy food. All of this is so unusual. This? Feng Jixing looked at Chu Huaimian with his clear eyes and said, someone has taken advantage of the situation and entered the capital, right? Yes, and there are quite a few of them. Chu Huaimian said lightly, I've sent people to investigate. In terms of food rations, there are at least 200,000 people who have entered the territory of the capital. This is very unusual. But the patrol teams that come and go have not found any clues, right? Yes, how do you know? Because the Imperial Guards have also sent out many scouts. Feng Jixing looked at him lightly and said, do you think you are the only ones who feel uneasy? My premonition is even stronger. This storm is finally coming to the capital. Who could it be? Chu Huaimian clenched his fists and said, is there really nothing we can do? Feng Jixing smiled slightly and said, tomorrow, I'll ask Her Highness Yin to make an announcement. Martial law will be imposed in the North Ridge province. Merchants who come and go must be checked carefully. If they find any metal weapons, they must be taken away. How about it? The Empire values martial arts. This is too much. How many people are they going to take away? This is the only way. All right then, at the same time in the Five Valleys city, a group of people wearing black cloaks entered the governor's manor. They were led into the meeting hall by a servant. Governor Si Kongfan was dressed in black armor with a sword hanging from his waist. Behind him was a group of trusted generals. He cupped his fists and smiled. Si Kongfan greets General Ji Yao. I wonder why General Ji Yao has come to visit so late at night? The person who came took off his cloak and revealed a face with a sinister smile. It was Ji Yao. He cupped his fists and said, Governor Si Kongfan hasn't realized that a storm is coming? Si Kongfan sneered. I don't know what kind of storm it is. Could it be that it will topple the Qin Empire? But General, as a general of Lingnan, you came to Lingnan without His Majesty's imperial edict. Don't you know it's a crime? Crime? Jiao smiled. He pointed to the south and said, Do you know that there are a total of 200,000 Lingnan elite soldiers waiting for my order to raze this city to the ground? Si Kongfan was furious. He pulled out his sword and shouted, Ji Yao, as one of the 7 generals of the empire, do you want to rebel? Rebel? Ji Yao laughed loudly. I'm just following the will of heaven and winning the hearts of the people. Qin Jin, this fatuous ruler, doesn't know how to govern a country. He only knows how to write poems and cook. How can such a fatuous ruler be the ruler of this continent? Si Kongfan, listen to me. The 4 provinces of Lingnan have formed an alliance to overthrow the monarchy and build a brand new Iha country. We don't believe in the supremacy of the monarchy. Instead, we believe in humanity and equality. Although you are one of the lackeys of the empire, you are still a famous general. If you surrender, you will still be the master of 5 Valleys City. Otherwise, don't blame us for being merciless. You're courting death. Si Kongfan brandished his sword and slashed at Ji Yao. But just as the blade was about to land on Ji Yao's head, his body suddenly froze as an invisible wave of air blew past him. Behind Ji Yao, 2 black-robed experts had sinister smiles on their faces. They were both Saint Realm experts. Stubborn. You're courting death. Ji Yao laughed loudly. The sword on his waist flashed and the poor Si Kongfan's head fell to the ground. The group of generals behind him were dumbfounded. Ji Yao picked up Si Kongfan's head and said in a low voice, Everyone has the right to punish the lackeys of the empire. Behind me are 2 venerables with the cultivation of the realm of the Holy Realm. If you don't want to die, then obediently surrender to me. I can still guarantee that your son won't die. The group of generals put down their swords. Their faces were ashen. This was no longer a simple mutiny. It was a rebellion, a national rebellion. Early in the morning, on the southern city wall of 5 Valleys City, the guards were drowsy. An old soldier sat under the city wall, smoking a pipe. He squinted his eyes and looked into the distance. He said, You lazy little bastards. How dare you sleep while on duty? Is your strength all on the belly of a whore? It was drizzling in the air. The veteran pulled down his straw hat to cover his smoking pipe. He looked into the distance with blurred eyes. Suddenly, he seemed to have an illusion. The green forest seemed to be moving slowly. He squinted his eyes and looked carefully again. That's right. It was really moving. He quickly clapped his hands and said, Li ergo, Zhang Quan Dan, Lu Min Zhao Ritin, wake up. Quick, if you sleep again, I will kill you. A few soldiers pulled the brim of their hats and stood up. They grumbled, Old man, what are you doing? Why are you screaming like a ghost? The old soldier pointed at the city wall. His arm was trembling. He said, Look, is that forest moving? A few young soldiers looked into the distance. They couldn't help but tremble. Their faces were pale. They said, No, it's not the forest moving. It's the people in green cloaks. They are approaching the city. Oh my God, beat the drums. At this moment, a Chiliarch walked up to the city wall with a long spear. He said calmly, There's no need to beat the drums. Go down and open the city gate to welcome our distinguished guests. Distinguished guests? The old soldier was dumbfounded. General Zhao, welcome what distinguished guests? The brave soldiers of Lingnan Iha country. I'm committing treason, the long saber flashed. The old soldier immediately fell into a pool of blood. The Kiliarcha's face was vicious. Go and open the city gate. The group of soldiers trembled. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.